Welcome back, everybody. This is Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse, Mark 173. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52. And folks, we got a special week this week. Second week in a row with special guests. We got some finales. We got shows rolling on, man. This is going to be a fun time to talk about. And I think Sarah's going to give us a movie review because she's the only one who went to the movies. But as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my homies, Ross and Sarah. What's up, y'all?
Thongs Day, am I right?
Yes. No green beer today, though.
No, I had a green shot of vodka
apparently.
earlier.
Well,
Green shot of cinnamon vodka, so that worked out pretty good to cover me for St. Patrick's Day. It's in me.
I am drinking Picard approved whiskey, so got that going for me.
Is it blue?
Thanks for that last week's episode where they were sitting at the bar and they're rocking some Jameson.
I mean, Jameson's always a good way to go.
It's a universal.
Exactly. We have some special guests this week, creators Wells Thompson and Dalton Shannon. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
It is fantastic to have you. And we're going to talk about your work tonight. You got a special comic coming for us. It's Mechaton.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
right. There we go. Mechaton, you gave us the first issue. I'm going to share it here as we go, and we're going to talk about this one. So, I mean, if we got nothing else to go with the intro, do y'all just want to go ahead and do it? Either one of y'all, take it. Just give us kind of an overview of what Mechaton's about.
Yeah, absolutely. Mechaton is a sci-fi action comedy about a glove that crash lands on Earth. Brother and sister find it and discover that anything they punch while wearing it turns into a mech. Kaiju shenanigans ensue. People want to get their hands on the glove, and yeah, it's a whole lot of fun, whole lot of heart, whole lot of fun.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that to me because as reading it, I didn't think about everything you touch turns into a mech. I just thought about
specifically.
Punch. Okay, cool. So that actually adds a whole other aspect to it. So
yeah, so there are sort of aspects to the glove and rules to how the technology works that we explain sort of layer by layer as the series goes on. So yeah, right now we're funding issues 4 and 5. You can get all 5 issues on there to get fully caught up for the first arc on Kickstarter. So,
Okay.
Never been a better time, really. You get the whole
whole lot of mechs too. Hot dog cart, house, city block, all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
I was going to ask you. You look like you were holding up issue number 3. Was that what I saw?
Yeah.
There?
So this is issue number 3 that I just happen to have on hand.
Just
happen to.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have 1 through 3 all in physical production right now, or all that have all been physically made, and then 4 and 5 we're currently in the process of coloring. All the line art is done, and we're just coloring it, and soon we'll be doing letters.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the coloring of this comic is amazing. I love how everything just pops. The artwork is fantastic. It gives me kind of like a Bazooka Joe, Archie, Steven Universe feel.
I love that.
Yeah, so I mean, I love it. It looks really, really good.
We have a new way to pitch it now. It's Archie by way of Toonami. There we go.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, sure.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Like I said, just the way the colors pop is fantastic.
Yeah, Megan Casey is the lead colorist on the book, and she just knocks it out of the park. Really knows how to complement Fernando's lines and just make everything sort of explode off the page.
Okay. Ross, Sarah, you got any questions? I don't want to just dominate the whole conversation. Sorry.
I just had one thing because guys, I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and these 2 reminded me of my kids. That's how they would interact. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was something that we really cared about. Like a big part of the impetus of like us making, this story with these characters was anytime, you go to the movies and the writer has to establish that 2 characters are related, so they like call each other brother by name or something like that, and the chemistry always feels really forced. And we just wanted a story where they aren't just incidentally siblings; they are sort of they're strung together and their relationship can really only be defined by the fact that they are siblings.
Right.
Well, it's just the interaction with their like dialogue. I'm just like, I've heard this before.
Exactly.
I love it.
So have we. We both have siblings, and so we fight over controllers constantly.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, that actually leads me into another question right there. Is as far as inspiration for the characters in the comics, like you just said, that so have we. As far as these conversations, do y'all draw inspiration from your own life or something you've seen into these characters?
I hope so. Or else this would be really awkward.
I was gonna say, I think every conversation,
got a lawsuit on the way.
everything that Derek and Lee say to each other is something that Dalton and I have said to each other at some point in time, probably.
Yeah.
We have that very sort of ribbing, making fun of each other in the same breath that we're really saying, hey, you're my best friend, and I appreciate having you around. We're also
loving antagonism.
You're worthless.
There you go.
Some people use a comic book. Some people use the couch.
Yeah.
We all need a little therapy.
Exactly. But yeah, no, we I think that like Derek is sort of how. In some ways, the worst parts of how we see ourselves, and in some ways, the best parts of how we see ourselves.
Okay.
Leah, I know, is like at least a little bit is inspired by my wife, and just her general attitude toward life and bossing me around in the friendliest, most correct way possible.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you love it. Are they twins in this, or are they just?
No, Derek is older, but they
okay.
are. But they may as well be. And they look slightly different. Leah is lighter skinned than Derek, and that does. I'm not going to say it like hugely impacts the story, but I think that there's something there in terms of just their dynamic that feeds into. But yeah, we just wanted to. Again, create characters that like all the little details of their lives kind of pop up in the story in sometimes subtle ways and sometimes really direct ways.
Okay.
And that is very much influenced by, my brothers and one of which looks exactly like me. The other looks nothing like me. And my friends who are just a mixed bag of everything that you could ask for in people. But we're all, trying to do our best and work with the tools that we have, even when those tools are suboptimal, which is sort of not where the idea behind the glove came from, but how that kind of presented itself was, we have a job to do and we don't have good tools to do it, but we're going to make it work.
All right. So the basic kind of premise behind the story, or at least what we've seen in episode or the first issue you have here, is like this glove is sent from space, and the first few panels are about how it got to Earth, I guess, at least. Do we ever get to meet these characters that actually release this weapon?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they have a big role in the story later on.
Specifically, our second arc is where they really get into. We meet them at the end of this arc, and then they really play a heavy part in the second, for sure.
Okay.
I would say they play a bigger part in the second, and like they really come into it in the third and final arc that we have planned is like all about them, and it just slowly builds to something bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay.
Now, see, you bring that up, and I want to say the line work, the coloring, everything pops off of the page on this thing for me, and I think it did for everybody when we were checking it out. You talking about it and the established story that you seem to already know, and how you just have this sense of well-informed planning under your belt. How has that, I mean, have you guys done how many other works have you done previously, and how easy has this one been to get to where it is now that you're working on issues 4 and 5? You already have another arc planned, and more or less, is it safe to say ready to go?
Yeah, we've been working together for a few years now, and we have another series, Frankenstein the Unconquered. We've got Descent into Dread, which is a horror anthology. So we've gotten used to kind of working in each other's sandbox and planning out where stories are going. So yeah, we have this. We're ready to go on Megaton. We've got a pretty good roadmap for it. Doesn't mean getting on the road was easy at all. I mean, it's the realm of crowdfunding and finding the art team that was going to bring this to life, and even like working with each other to make sure that the tones never ended up like overriding each other or clashing, or we wanted a nice melding. So no, it's never easy, but it helps having at least a semblance of a roadmap in front of you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's also a matter of like, so yes and no. We know generally what the second arc is. We know what the big plot points are, and we're really excited to get to those. And at the same time, like we haven't written issue 6 yet, and when we do, we'll probably discover some stuff in the process, and we at least I like to leave a lot of room for things to come up organically, and for spontaneity to arise. And a lot of the times we realized like some of our best plot points happen not because we planned them way in advance, but because we realized, oh wait, this thing we overlooked is actually really cool, let's explore that more. So yeah,
it always comes with the storytelling. It's just something that's got, like you said, is natural. Like
that's honestly the thing I love most about writing is finding the story and the telling of it. It's super gratifying when you can pull something really cool off of like that.
You know what I love about this artwork? Just going through here, I've seen a couple of different pages that are like, that's a splash page. That's a splash page. This right here could be a cool splash page, but the way it's drawn, it makes me want to read it like irradiated superbug, alpha product.
Yeah.
Like in that movie voice. Like it makes me want to get into it like that.
Absolutely.
It's just beautiful.
I was going to bring up earlier, because some of the other text off of the page, it wasn't as like onomatopoeia as like the old school ways that you normally see a bunch of things put into comic books, and just the thin writing where I think it said bang whenever you were scrolling through, Greg, and it was just one of those things. I'm like, it's just enough. It's just enough because you're already, I guess, established as a comic book reader to feel it, but at the same time, like it's different. Love it.
Yeah, that's all thanks to Nathan, our letter. He takes the words that we kind of spew onto a page, and he actually makes it look pretty good.
There are some instances where Fernando will just like write it in, I guess, because he gets excited and he's just like, this needs to go here. But yeah, no, Fernando is the chief letterer, and he does a killer job with it. I love all the little touches on the lettering that he adds into it.
Yeah. I always try to mimic my actual handwriting like I see in comic books, but it just never ends up working out that way. Like my handwriting looks so
lettering's
sloppy.
hard.
Yeah,
It's
it's very, very hard to draw that or to write that well.
Oh Lord, I don't know if I can find it, but here it is. Yeah, I have my lettering guide right here, and this it is, even with the guide, it is so difficult and time consuming, and I am so glad that I don't have to do a damn bit of it anymore.
That lettering guide looked like it had math involved, and I just don't know if I can.
They do have math involved.
They
yes,
do. They very much do.
I don't advise using one without a drafting table.
All right,
for sure.
And there you go. There's your other splash page right here. This is so cool because growing up, I'm a Transformers fan, I'm a Power Rangers fan, and like when I was younger, I drew a lot more than I do now. I still like to every once in a while. Now my daughter's amazing, absolutely fantastic. But I used to always love to draw spaceships and mechs because it's just the cool. You can make them into almost anything you want to, and they can always almost look good. And this comic actually has some really cool looking spaceships and mechs. Like looks like something I would draw. It's just I connect with it like that. It's really cool to see this. I love the idea of it being a hot dog stand.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
the comedy.
I think that's the thing, more publicly anyway, that everyone comments on, that I'm just like, yeah, no, I'll pat myself on the back for that. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
I think originally the first mech was supposed to be the house, like in issue 3 is where we finally see like the house mech, which is a great look, and I love that design, but like from the very beginning, I was like, it doesn't feel like a first mech. We need something to really solidify. We need something absurd to make people go, oh, this is what we're doing. And yeah, hot dog cart was just absolutely the best choice in my opinion.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, I get it. That's genius. Yes.
Yeah, and like you were saying, mechs are so cool because you can make them look like anything and they'll inevitably look cool. And that's kind of what makes Mechaton really neat, is that the mechs are and can be anything. And Fernando always makes them look cool. Like we just said it's a hot dog cart that turns into a robot. And then he had to figure out what that hot dog cart as a robot looked like. Yeah, and dude does it and makes it look so easy and effortless.
I think the one criticism that we had, like his first design for the robot cart, we were like, it's so good that it's basically too good. We need it to look jankier. We need it to look less put together. Yeah, it shouldn't look like he got it so right on his first attempt. Like he accidentally made this thing and needs to look a little crappy.
Well, that's cool. That gives you a goal to work towards then.
For sure.
Like now you're looking at Mark, 50 as opposed to Mark 1. So that's
exactly
cool. Yeah. Okay, so 2 questions I got to ask. One, who exactly is Mechaton? Is that the glove?
It's the glove, yes.
It's the glove. Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is
the
the
Mechaton
actual
glove.
The Mechaton glove is
And it makes the Mechaton mechs. Yeah. So this is the Mechaton Mark 1. And then we have Mark 2s and 3s, yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Up to Mark 6, we go in the
first arc.
In the first arc, the first 5 issues.
All right. And we don't get a ton of background about this bug in this. Like I love how you guys put in that he's a button masher, and that's why you see the stomp here at the end. And he establishes that. But we don't get a lot about this. Is this are we going to find out why this villain is drawn to?
Answers slowly unfold for why these kaiju are popping up and what is happening exactly. And it's meant to be a bit mysterious. I will say eagle-eyed viewers will find answers in the comic without it being said in dialogue. There are background details that make you go, oh, I see what's happening. That said, eventually we will get around to saying, here's what's happening. And then it says coming to Kickstarter January 13th, 2022. So then we've been working on this series for a little while, and issue 2 is out, and so is issue 3. We've had a wonderful reception to these books, and everyone that I've heard the mildest of criticism, even when I really ask people to lay into me, and so I feel like we're onto something good. I feel like people really enjoy it.
I dig your storytelling. I mean, like you just said, the way that you're unveiling and unfolding your story, love it. Like it's right up my alley with how I would expect something enjoyable and truly. I mean, not next level, but I guess you can call it. You
can say next level.
Next level. Next level B.
I'll take that.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll 100% take next level.
Yeah. We'll use that as a pull quote on the next ones. Yeah.
I'll sign my name to
it. Once again, I just love, like, you can get right into the artwork with this this book. I mean, the story's great.
Yeah,
I want to know more about it. Like, I want to know more about what's going on. So I may have to talk to y'all about getting some donating some Kickstarter stuff and get some copies of this. So we're going to talk about that too, because you guys have a Kickstarter, correct?
Yes. We are currently funding.
Okay.
Issues. So we're primarily funding issues 4 and 5, but you can get the whole series. Like I said, they're all available. We are funding until this upcoming Wednesday at 6:15. And we have about 2,300 left before we meet our goal. I'm confident we'll make it, but we need your help.
Definitely.
You specifically. We need people to get on board. We need people to want to read the book, and get in on the series. And there are tons of stuff that you can get, from just a basic catch up to a whole smattering of different covers. Including this shiny cover. that we only do on the
Ooh,
Kickstarter.
I like it.
Yeah.
Ooh, shiny.
You can also adopt a page where you get a custom printout of a page 11 by 16, as well as your name in the book saying that you adopted it. You can get a commission. You can put an ad in the back of the book if you have a small business or just want to put something up there to embarrass me with. I know my brother is thinking about putting a picture of me in a dress that he, I think, made with AI. I don't remember weering that dress, but
Sell out.
if he's gonna pay, if he's gonna pay for it, then I'll put it in the back. Of the book, whatever. So yeah, and then all of our other books are on there as well. Our horror anthology, Descent into Dread, our action horror series, Frankenstein the Unconquered, the anthologies that I've been a part of, 2 volumes of By Visibility, and From the Static, from Band of Bards, another horror anthology. So tons of stuff to pick up if you want. But anyone can enter at any level. If you want to spend $10, we have something for you. If you want to spend $600, we can make that work.
I'm sure you guys will find a package, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's fantastic. And I will include the Kickstarter information to so everybody can go find them and find this comic. And I highly recommend it. It's a really, really fun read. I want to find out what goes on more of the story. I keep looking at this page at the very end. It's the last one I got stuck on of the 2 cops holding up the guns with the Meg and Leah there. And I'm like, I want to show this to my daughter because she loves doing artwork, and I'm trying to get her into artwork or into some kind of animation or for her.
We did not I can't speak to Dalton's intention. I certainly did not intend to like write this as a comic book like for kids, but kids love this comic book. Right? Yeah. Like I get so many comments from parents and teachers and librarians and such about like their kids loving it and their kids drawing over characters to like learn how to draw them like Fernando and just thinking that the characters
that's the best compliment right there.
More. Yeah. No, like I heard that and I was just like, okay, well, I gotta lay on the floor and cry for a little while. That's the coolest thing I've heard in my life.
Right. Well, from what I can see, like just in this first comic, it's kind of kid friendly. I mean, there's no real violence. There's not gory. There's not bad language.
Yeah.
But it's still really fun and interesting, you know?
I like the humor. Sure. I like the way they interact. I mean, even, you know, it's, you know, I see a lot of my son in this kid, or at least in this, you know, it's like, he's such a goofball, but yet he has the best intentions.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. No, we did specifically aim for it to be an all ages book in that it's not going to be talking down to kids, but kids can definitely jump on and read it, and parents don't have to feel suspicious of what they're reading. It's just kids of all ages, as well says sometimes.
Yeah. If you're 15 or if you're 10 or 50, you can enjoy the book. You just have to be a kid here.
There you go. There you go.
Oh yeah. Age is just a number. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, fellas, I really, really enjoyed the read. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thanks for having
Ross,
us.
Sarah, do you have anything else you want to say about this comment?
I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Thank you.
And you know, for like I said, like the colors, you know, the fluidity of the artwork, the the dialogue. I mean, it's just, you know, you can pick it up and you can just, you know, and I've always been you know, when it comes to comics, it's colors and the artwork. That's what really draws my eye.
Absolutely.
And it's really a pleasure too when you actually are like reading it and you don't feel lost. You know, sometimes it's, you know, you get a little too deep into it. So I mean, I really enjoyed it, fellas. Good job. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
For sure. Artwork sells the book. Story is what keeps you hooked. And we hope we're giving people both, but we know we're giving people good artwork, like 100%.
Right. I mean, I was going to say that from you guys and your writing standpoint, I mean, the stories you guys have created have been fantastic. I mean, it's great to just roll off into new comic series. I like that you have depth in the types of things you love to write about. And I love the fact that you guys are making it happen. You're making multiple projects going on all at more than one time. So fantastic. Keep it
Doing
up.
our best.
There you go.
Love the craft. Love the craft.
One last point I will make that I love that I'm sitting here looking at right now that I noticed as soon as I read the comic, but I didn't write down that I wanted to comment about because if I don't write it down, I won't remember it. Is I do love the lettering as far as with Derek, how it changes when he goes into the mech suit.
Mhm.
Yes.
It makes me read it differently.
Yes.
In my mind, and that right there is what you want in a comic, because I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and the best part about an audiobook is an author that can really do voices well. So in my mind, when I read a book, I want to kind of do that too, and having the different lettering there for the Mech and Derek is just fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I love comics for their ability to, like, they give you more information. So, like, you know, when you have two people read a novel and ask them to describe a character, you can get two wildly different interpretations.
Right.
There's a concrete what's on the page, but there's still enough space that you get to sort of let your imagination run a little bit wild.
Mhm.
You know, Scott Pilgrim, the character on the page, sounds different to me than I'm sure he does to Dalton. And that's something I get to carry with me. But we both know what he looks like, and we can both connect on that level.
I have to pick your brain, Greg. What does it sound like? What does the book sound like?
Oh, I gotta go to some of it, read it. It's like I don't perform well under pressure. I just press buttons. You're the one who calls the shots.
No, see,
in my brain, I was picturing you auto-tuning it, like you auto-tuning it in your head.
In my head, it's like if you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, it's like Alphonse Edward, like talking from kind of inside the tin can, and it's just kind of echoey and tinny and from a distance.
And there you go.
That's what I was imagining.
Now I need to hear what you think our giant kaiju sounds like. Just at the top of your lungs. At the top of your lungs, just go.
Oh,
something like that.
That's the bad guy.
Oh yeah, the big monster.
I gotta find.
Take a look at that speaker.
Yeah, that was a really interesting choice. That
I liked that choice. Like, just put the static on the page and let someone figure it out. I thought that was very fantastic.
That was all Nathan. That got plopped down on the page, and we were like, "What is that? That is awesome."
It's create your own story. You know, choose your own chapter. Like, where do you want to go?
See, if I'm gonna voice him, I'm gonna do him kind of like the wording of his description when he first came in made me say, like, superbug, alpha level power, or alpha power level, gross. Like, so he's talking, he's like, you guys are out, something like that. You know?
Dig it.
Perfect.
But yeah,
or
absolutely loved it. So sorry, I got to scroll over.
I was going to say, or that's just this comic's version of cursing. So he's just swearing at them the entire time. You have no idea.
Oh, we could be related.
Well, fellas, I really do appreciate it. This was an awesome read. I want to check this out and find out more about the story. Check these guys out. I'll put the Kickstarter information in there. 4-Color Comics, Mechaton, Wells Thompson, Dalton Shannon. Thank you so much for coming on. Wells, I think you're going to stick around and talk about Last of Us.
I would love to do so.
Cool,
yes.
Well, Dalton, if you got nothing else, man, I'll just give you an exit. Tell them where they can find you, and anything else you want to say before you leave.
Yeah, you can find me at Dalton K. Shannon, just about any social that matters. And, well, Wells can talk your ear off about the newsletter and the Kickstarter when he goes. So I will see you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Nice.
Dalton, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Bye.
See you, nerd.
All right. And you know what, man? That is so cool, too, seeing the relationship of the creators in this. And you can feel that in the comic when you see these kind of things. So, but you have about 5 people working on this, right? From what I saw 5 names, I think.
I mean, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's really more like 7 or 8.
Okay.
So it's
a lot of people to put
me and
together.
Dalton writing, Fernando Pinto on art, Megan Casey on colors, but we also have Fred Stressing, who does a lot of the flats and helps and assists her with colors a lot of the time.
Okay.
You have Nathan Kempf. You have on letters. You also have Andrea Molinari, who's the art editor. He works with Scout Comics. We're getting a distribution deal through them. And we have Brenda Snelby, who is the person in my life that makes comics possible, essentially. She's the designer. She made the logo. So this very slick logo you're seeing here was her design, and she also puts the book together physically so that I don't have to mess with Photoshop because my skills are lacking.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's really cool to see that many people come together and see the final product, and it's a really, really good deal.
For sure.
All right.
Fucking teamwork.
There you go. Makes the dream work. That's right. Well, I guess without further ado, let's just go ahead with the rest of the show. Wells, you're joining us this week for Last of Us. We normally save it for last, but you know what? Special guest this week, and he wants to talk about it, so we're going to do it first. So without further ado, we'll get into some TV. Good on TV. I may have said that before it muted. What's good on TV? There we go. I'll say it again. So, all right, new system. Here we go. But we're covering the regular shows. We're going to start with Last of Us this week, and it was a finale.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So season 1. So I'm not really down with the game, but from what I understand, we're not through the game yet.
No, we're through the first game.
Through the whole first game?
The whole first game we're through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we weren't through the whole first game yet, but okay,
No.
cool. So you're a game player?
Yes. So I have an interesting kind of relationship with this game. In that, like the first time I played it, I was like, this is kind of overrated. And I didn't really think that much of it. And then I don't know, it sort of took me over. I've played it like 5 or 6 times now. Right. Something about it just kept hooking me and keep making me come back to it. And and the second game as well, part 2, I've played 2 or 3 times, or definitely at least 3 times. And it's fewer mostly because it is a much longer game. They will probably break up the story of part 2 into 2 seasons, I would imagine, because it is a monster. It's a double album of a story.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I love this adaptation, and I thought it was really, really well done. And I do have some not nitpicks, just insights into things that are different. But I'm interested to see what you guys thought.
Okay. Yeah, my husband's actually playing the game now, so it's like we're watching it. So it's just like last night there was, what was it, when they were on horseback and actually came into like the, that kind of thing. He's like, look at this. I'm like, it's like one of those things where I've seen it. I don't want to know anymore. I'm just like, let me just take it for what it is.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, so we have conversations about what the differences between the game and is actually for the the adaptation. So it's been interesting to say the least.
I have not played the game, but from what I understand, from what the creators have told me of the show, or I've heard the creators say of the show, and people that have played the game, is like the accuracy or the homage they want to pay to the game, like direct scenes, direct lines, the way it looks. They've done such a good job of.
For sure.
So I can't attest to that because once again, I haven't played the game yet. I do want to. I just have a problem with games like this. I do find a lot of games like this that I love to play. But I'm a sports game guy because like the outcome of a sports game is different every single time you play it. Whereas a game like this, you play it once, and there are some that are really fun to play more times than that. But I find myself in a hole where I play a game and complete it, and I don't play it anymore.
Yeah, there's a problem I have with the term video game, and I think we need to break it up somehow because there are 2 distinct kinds of video games. There's what I'll call what you said, sports games. There's sports are like games,
competitive,
which are closer to chess than they are to like a novel. Okay, and then there's games like like narrative driven games like The Last of Us that are a story that happened to be told in an interactive medium, but that the outcome is, you might have different endings, but for the most part, it's a story that you're playing to get to an ending.
Right.
You're having a discussion with, I don't want to say video game illiterate people, because we know quite a bit about video games and we know all the terms, right? Like the RPGs, the side scrollers, we know all the different little bits. But when you really get down and into it, people who truly play video games really break down the nitty gritty of it all. And you're absolutely right. Like to classify this as a video game television show is what everyone has been doing just because it's it's the populace talking,
the discourse, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And I've been saying forever now, we're entering the era of video game TV, and I use that as an all-encompassing term, but truly what it is you can't turn Tetris. Oh, that's a bad example since
Because they're doing it. Yeah.
But that's the story of Tetris. It's not the actual game
But you-
that you're.
You can't turn
There's a
that
difference.
into a movie, you know, unless
Mhm.
I would be interested to see it, but whatever. But now that you're taking these novels and you're taking good storytelling, just like you would with anything else, and you're putting it on screen. So you're 100% correct. I just think that the population is just not ready to call it something else.
Well, that's sort of what I'm saying, is that I think we need to stop equating them as, because like it's completely reductive to really, like, even talking about two pieces of video game media that came out really similarly, both incredibly well received, The Last of Us and Arcane.
Notice that too.
It's extremely to me it's kind of disingenuous to compare them, because Arcane is based off of League of Legends, which is, again, closer to chess than it is to a to a game like The Last of Us. My honest first reaction when they said they were going to adapt The Last of Us is, that's kind of cheating. Like, that game is already basically a movie.
It has a story.
Yeah, it's I mean, and an incredibly Hollywood, like, linear narrative kind of story, not the kind of sprawling thing you might get out of like a crazy RPG or something like
Whereas
that.
we're getting Dungeons and Dragons, you know, like something that could go any sorts of direction, and you know,
that's something
they're
you
choosing
have
a path.
Yeah, that's something that you're creating out of whole cloth with inspiration from the material, instead of just recreating it.
But the cool thing about it too is it doesn't necessarily have to be like, if I knew nothing about The Last of Us, I knew nothing about it. So, but this type of writing, this type of show, I can take it for what it is. I don't need to know it's based on a game. I don't need to know what it's based on. And I think that's what's so magical about it, honestly. Because even if you don't play the game, or if you absolutely know nothing about it, it's still a damn good show.
Right.
It is.
Right.
And that is actually really, that's actually really cool to hear from, because I can't be objective about The Last of Us. Again, I am so ingrained in The Last of Us that, like, I have no way of being like, well, was this a good TV show on its own merits? No idea.
That's the thing about it, because if you take it for like a video game, and, you know, fellas, we've talked about this before, you know, look at Halo. Halo's one you need to know the source material for it to make sense. I mean, you do. Last of Us, you don't, because it's just.
But I've known so many people that have liked Halo without knowing the source material.
I was going to say,
older people that have watched the show that love it and
I mean,
don't
if you
know
like
anything
sci-fi,
about the game.
But I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm just saying something that would appeal just a kind of anyone. You know, it's because I'm not. Look, I am the last person that's going to say I like anything that is zombie-esque, anything coming back, infected. That is not my jam. 100% no. But this,
you die.
Yes, I'm just like, no, there's no coming back.
No
coming back. But it's just well, it kind of did help it a little bit. There was Pedro Pascal too, so I mean, you know, a little bit about that, you know. But hey,
I don't get it. But every person I know that likes men is 100% on board.
Well, it's not
Pedro Pascal.
Whatever he's in, it's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
He's just that type of actor that kind of pulls you in. I mean,
For sure.
Now I'm not going to lie.
Man,
the very
Red
first
Viper
episode,
was
Red Viper, yeah. Oh.
The very first episode of Last of Us, I had to really try hard to realize that's not Din Djarin.
And I'll tell you what'll really mess you up, Sarah, is do not watch Last of Us and then watch Mando, because it will mess you up. I feel like I'm watching the same show, but something he just jumped universe or something. It totally messes you up.
It's weird because it's like literally like the same voice.
It's the exact same voice. Like the exact same.
Almost like it's the same person.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? It's crazy.
But no, I will say about what you were saying with the Halo thing. It's funny that you say that, like, because I played Halo. When it was, you know, when I was in college, Halo came out, and it was, you know, Xbox was big and this and that. So, but I never played the story line of Halo. I only played online, or I only played against people. I just never. Same way with Call of Duty, or I'm never going to play Call of Duty the storyline. I'm just going to go online and play with people. I don't buy that game to play the storyline. That's not a sport I want to
play it as a sport. You don't play it as a narrative.
Exactly. So the Halo storyline actually gave me like, okay, this is some meat to this bone now. Like, it's not just a character. I love seeing Master Chief and especially live action. The actor they had play him, everything was fantastic. But now I get a little bit of story behind this, and I feel like that one for me wasn't. And like I said, I had a little background with the actual online multiplayer game, but that one for me, I just feel like I didn't need to know about. I'm trying to think of a actual like adaptation of something that I need to see the adaptation before I know. Tell me.
I can tell you something because I'm gonna veer off of the video game thing for a minute, and I'm gonna go back to comic books. So many people have a problem with what Marvel and DC do in their movies with the big names. I mean, all of them across the board. Wells did a great job bringing up Arcane, something that just created a story from stuff from like facts and bits and pieces that were there.
Yeah, the lore was there. Yeah,
exactly. And they told a great story with it. The difference is when you take something like he's been describing, you take something that has a Hollywood written story, something that beginning, middle, end. It traverses a general written screenplay. When you have something like Marvel that comes in and starts changing things, it screws with people nonstop. They're like, that's not how it happened. That's not how that works. You're breaking the rules of what we grew up with, and so on and so forth. And it becomes a thing. But we grew up reading things, comic book wise, that constantly broke all of their own rules.
Right.
It constantly changed the universe. Yeah, exactly. And so we were okay with it then. It may have taken a little bit to adapt to it, to be like, well, like everyone knows that like Scott Summers and Jean Grey have to be together, but they're not together, and like, everyone knows that, such and such and such has to happen. Well, when you go and change that, it becomes a very big problem. Right. So with you not knowing something like the Halo background story, it helped you in that scenario. I never played Halo because I was a story-driven person when it came to video games, and I would only play them by myself to the point that I didn't care about playing with other people and having a massive, Call of Duty night or whatever people were up to. I love the story. That was the bit of it that I truly enjoyed. So you got to let go of the stuff that you feel like is a hard line to not cross. And
well, it's like I told you guys too, because my husband, he won't watch Halo.
He still hasn't watched it. Really? Oh wow.
No,
okay.
He's not going to. He's not going to.
Okay.
That's his line in the sand.
I want to point out right here in the chat room, 10 Tizzy says Scarlet Witch is Magneto's kids. I'll throw hands. I don't care.
I'll stand right next to you.
I'm right there with you too, buddy, because I love House of M. Like, I love that series. So yes, I will totally agree with you. Scarlet Witch is Magneto's kid. 100%.
I don't know what they're doing with their story. All I know is that they're making stories. And if it keeps going, you get something else, like with this or, The Last of Us. I don't think The Last of Us is going to take a turn since we're on The Last of Us. It seems like, the writer for that show has done a good job to focus on paying homage to the story. And that's what a lot of people want. But the moment that he does one thing that's a little too far out, they're going to attack him because that's just the world that we live in. So I hope that show sees.
Well, regardless, they're going to dogpile everyone for The Last of Us Part 2. The difference is, I think they're going to realize that people don't actually have a problem with that story, like writ large. Once people actually experience it, they're going to go, "Oh yeah, that was good. That's fine." The fans of Last of Us are a little bit rabid in that sense, where they just kind of lost their minds over number 2.
Rabid.
Well, and luckily the thing is, and I don't want to downplay Last of Us or fans or not talking trash about anyone, but that's a very, very small group compared to the people that you can please with the story you've told.
For sure.
So that's what you've got to cater to. And I hate it because I love Star Wars. I love the Star Wars universe. I've read a lot of Star Wars, and there's a lot of things here and there. And I feel that way about that. But I'm like, okay, they've got to cater to everybody, not to me, and not to what I know about the same way with DC and Marvel, not to what I know about this, what would make everybody happy. And I've got to kind of let go of that. So I feel like they made the right decision there because, like I said, as far as I understand it, they've still done a really good job of making things look and feel in the same universe.
Absolutely.
So Well,
But when
we
they come
chased-
out with their version of a hot dog stand mech, I don't know what's going to happen. I
Ketchup
don't know
gun,
what's going to
that's right.
happen.
Absolutely.
So let's get into the episode. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Will.
Well, the one thing I want to say about
no,
this,
I was going to say I would love to talk more about the episode.
well, the one thing
Yeah.
I am liking about the series is the fact they are bringing a lot of the voice actors in.
Yeah,
I think that's
love the
really cool.
cameos.
So,
I mean, it's
Dude who
not
took machete to the
necessarily-
neck was
Troy Baker. He plays
Yes.
Joel in
He
the
plays Joel.
in the game.
And then we're going to talk about another one that was in
That's
this
right.
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
2 actually were in this episode.
2. Okay, I only knew
But
one.
yeah, we
Okay.
can.
Let's do it.
No one else would have spotted that cameo, but I'm the weirdo that was like, I get that.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, let's do it. Let's break it down. So this one starts out with kind of a flashback, and we've in this show gone back and forth. Realistically, everything we've gone back and forth with the exception of the first episode was only like a few weeks before where we're at now. This one is going all the way back to Ellie's birth, and you see how she becomes immune. I guess her mother's being bitten while she's being born, which is an interesting way to write the story. I mean, it's believable, I suppose.
It's sort of like a vaccine, like just that little tiny bit of exposure without it being able to take over is sort of, I guess, the explanation.
And I like that. And that's when you actually get to see Marlene back for the first time. So let's talk about that. So the actress who plays her mother, Sarah, go.
That's Ashley Johnson.
Johnson.
I recognize her from way back then. I don't.
Was she
did
the one
you,
that was
like,
in Station
you ever-
11?
She
No,
did
did
a
you ever
lot of
watch
stuff. I just
Growing
can't name any
Pains?
of it.
Did you watch
Oh,
Growing Pains?
yeah.
That was the little. That was
I
the
only
little,
grew up with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So that was like the first thing. So when I saw, the actress that plays Ellie, I'm like, for some reason, I automatically thought about Ashley Johnson. I'm like, she looks familiar. So to IMDb I go. So, I have to go down that little rabbit hole. So the fact that then I find out, it's like the voice actress for Ellie, which is like really cool. And then the fact that it's so believable. I love it when they have actors and actresses that are so similar to where I can actually believe that they're related. I think that's just, I think that's awesome.
Avengers.
So
That was where I recognize her from.
Yes.
She was in the
Yeah,
Avengers.
yeah.
I said
That
I've
was
seen her in
like
a
the
bunch of
adult
stuff, but I
version of
can't. She was in the very first one, right? She was the girl in the building that was getting attacked by the
Yeah.
Chitauri.
They kept
Oh,
on
nailed
coming
it.
back
There
to
we
her
go.
shot. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
She looked. You're right, though, Sarah. I give it to you because I was like, man, did they pick
very
the woman
similar.
to nail that? Because they did.
Yes.
If you're a fan of D&D podcasts, I believe she's a frequent on Dimension 20 or Critical Role, one of the two. But yeah, phenomenal voice actress, phenomenal actress in general, and did an incredible job in this scene. I was biting my
felt her
finger
pain,
the entire
dude.
time.
I felt her pain.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where this is the show where I know this character is going to survive, but I'm still like on the edge of my seat, like, holy shit, what's going to happen? Like, oh, and that's good writing right there. Where I know this is not the end. I know because there's only one show I've watched where you can't bet on anybody staying alive, and that's Game of Thrones. So like this is not Game of Thrones, so I know this character is going to survive. I just got to try to figure out how, and they do a good job with that one.
I want to say that I love the fact that she had Ellie in the moment that she was being attacked, because it shows the amount of adrenaline that your body could like push through when you feel like you're gonna die. And like she gives birth, one of the most painful things that like a woman can do. She's doing, so I've heard she's doing it while like trying to survive. And I can only imagine like the scene, like that little itty bitty bit of weight was just so heavy for that scene. Then she gets bit and she's like, nope, gotta make, kids gotta survive. So she just jumps into cutting the umbilical cord and everything else.
It's just
with that scene, it's crazy too, because it shows you like you instantly get the connection with Marlene and Ellie at that point, because like now I want to know more backstory of how did Ellie end up in the camp and Marlene got her back later. Like how did they get separated? One, which I'm sure we're probably going to find out later, but it gives you the
no mom figure. Look at what they've shown.
Well, yeah, no, I think I don't think we do get much more in terms of that, but I think it's sort of implied that like she was just like, I am leading a rebellion. This is not a place for a baby.
Okay.
The one place I know that is safe is Fedra, so it sucks, but here you go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, like you get the, like I said, the connection with them is the fact that Ellie's mother and Marlene were obviously friends. And you have this same situation of she's got to kill her friend who's been bitten. You see the same thing with Ellie later. With what's her friend's name?
Riley.
I can't remember. Riley, right? Well, you don't see the same thing, but you at least hear about it. So it's like I love that's good story writing right there. That's full circle type stuff.
Right.
Like, that's
Circle.
completing the circle exactly. So now the circle is complete. That's right.
Yeah, and we hear all the time from the showrunners, like, this show is ultimately about, like, love, both the good parts of it and kind of the ugly parts of it, and the horrible things that you can make someone do because they love someone. And to me, it's never really commented on, but that's sort of the kind of underbelly of love, is that there is sort of something inherently tragic about loving someone or something. Like, one of you is not going to be around eventually, and the other person's going to have to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. And that's a particularly brutal way of expressing that. Like, the only thing you can do at that point is execute your best friend. That's brutal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you've ever lost a pet, that is a pain that you know acutely well.
It sucks.
It does.
That does suck.
This tells the, like you said, the story of love, but it's like in the nth percentile. Whereas when you're in the apocalypse, the end of the world, the whatever the scenario is, where you're struggling to survive, like, whereas you could have a life full of things, and love can be at whatever amount in that you have. When your life is about surviving, like, it's like 90-10, 95-5, like there's a whole lot that goes into that, and I think that's what lends stories like this to tell really good versions of what love really means.
Absolutely.
So, okay, in this episode, they're captured by Marlene and the Fireflies at the location that they were going to go to, which this is one qualm I had with the show right here. Is I was thinking about this and I was like, well, if Marlene had Ellie and then Marlene was there waiting for her at the place she was supposed to go to, why didn't Marlene just take her? But then you don't get the story we got, But I mean, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, well, how did Marlene end up getting there? Like, why didn't you just take her there if you got there before? You had more resources.
You got to stretch the story out, like
Right.
the giraffe's neck. That you
Well,
skip
it
over
was-
the giraffe.
Yeah.
Dude, you did skip over the giraffe. That hurts a lot of gamers right there. But
Well, that was in the game, right?
it was, yeah. It was.
Okay.
It's the ultimate pet the dog moment. You get to pet the giraffe. And yeah, it's kind of the moment that you see that Ellie's going to be okay after the David incident, which is brutal to get through on so many levels. But yeah, no, that I think that's explained with, like, she was wounded and didn't think that she was going to make it at all, so she just gave her to Joel and was like, hopefully you get there, and then they got sidetracked so much that she winds up making it first.
Okay, so maybe a slight story change for the actual show then, because I mean, I don't think she was wounded in the show.
Yeah, she was. She was wounded in the show.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she's bleeding out. She's
Okay.
bleeding out, and
Unless
she
she's
turns to her
forgot
friend
that
and
stuff.
says, "You don't have a fucking ear." Like, they were just in a, like, dogfight.
I have the memory of a goldfish, so I guess that makes
all
sense
good.
that I wouldn't remember that. But yeah, and then what else? Oh, so, okay, so they're caught by the Fireflies, and they're going to, from what I understand, I guess Ellie's going to die in the surgery, right? They're going to use her to draw whatever they need out of her, and they've got to use it to get it from her brain. That's the idea. And as soon as Joel finds this out, he goes straight dad mode. And I love this because everybody else that's in the show is like a stormtrooper. They can't hit shit, and he's taking everybody out left and right. Awesome
it's that
scene.
slow hallway scene. Like,
Yes.
Oh my God.
slow hallway
Yes.
scenes, like, always just come out crazy.
This was the biggest problem I had in adaptation with the show up until this point. Was that in the game, Joel is a scary motherfucker from the beginning. Like, you can kind of see it in him, and you're playing as him, so you can keep a body count. It's high. But even just in his, like,
Is there an actual body count?
actually,
That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
I think you can.
Counter.
I think there's a counter that, like, in the menu that you can look at, and it is like it's in the high hundreds. But of people that you mow through to get through the story. But
Making
But
mushroom
Pedro Pascal is
Mushroom soup.
Pedro Pascal is infinitely likable, and immediately I was like, how are you going to give Joel, like, Joel is kind of a bastard. He's a bad person. There's a line that they cut from the TV show, but that I love in the game, which is when Tess is bit and you know, is to the point where she knows that she's going to die, and she's trying to convince Joel, you got to take this girl to the Fireflies. She says, guess what, Joel? We're shitty people. It's been that way for a while. And he denies it. He's like, we're trying to survive out here. She just calls him for what it is. Like, we're bad people. We've been doing this for a long time, and we lost our way. And I didn't feel that much with Joel up until this point. But when you're in that hallway and the music is playing and he is just like, not even angry. He's just empty. Nothing in the eyes. He's just mowing people down. I really finally felt like, yup, that's him. That's Joel.
I don't know. I kind of got a little semblance of that episode before, because like
there were little moments, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's like this switch that gets flipped where it's like, you know,
dad mode.
Dad mode.
Yeah, I mean, seriously,
I'm putting him up for adoptive dad of the year. I mean, he
And
like everyone else has, like he is,
and it's real interesting to see like that, because like I said, you know, not playing the game and seeing that thing, but just seeing like the evolution of, you know, how he goes from just like, okay, kid, you're just like this asset I'm gonna get from point A to point B, you know, and especially, you know, talking about with his daughter and, you know, that kind of thing too. And like he kind of opens up to where, and then like I said, in this, that hallway just going to, you're just like, okay, I'm not messing with this dude. No, I'm like, you know, you're thinking, well, somebody's messing with your kid too, or you know, if your kid's like okay, I get that. I mean, I understand that mind space.
Yeah. Well, we talk about dad mode, or at least I keep saying it. And you know, I'm a father of 2 daughters. You know, I have a goddaughter.
Dad mode
you know,
mode.
Terminator mode, exactly. You know, there's a scene in the last episode where he actually calls her baby girl whenever he gets her back, and it's like that's the moment right there. Like he turns. Like he's building up to that based on how he's getting to that point, but he turns right at that moment. And now like this is full on his surrogate daughter for us as far as he feels. So I had to ask, and I was talking to my friends at work about this when this episode came out, and it's choices. Like in this episode, like you're put in that situation. Did Joel make the right choice? We obviously know he did because the game goes on. There's more story, blah, blah. But like in that situation, did you make the right choice? And I came to the conclusion of if it was, I feel like it's a love situation, and that's what they brought up. Like if it was my daughter, my goddaughter, somebody I loved or knew, I probably would do exactly what Joel did. It sucks, but I probably would. And it sucks saying that I probably wouldn't if it was just another random person, because I feel like a piece of shit for saying that. But when it comes down to it, I kind of feel like that's the way it is. You know, I want to protect the ones I love. However, I wouldn't have lied to her after that. So I can kind of feel I'm on his side about doing the saving thing, but I'm not on the side about lying to her, because you don't gain anything from that. Nothing at all. There's only bad stuff that can happen from you lying.
You gotta look at the facts.
He knows somewhere in his gut, he knows that Ellie, had they given her the choice, would have chosen to sacrifice herself to make a cure. And he doesn't want to be the bad guy. He knows that he is, but he wants whatever time he has with Ellie left. The consequences of which become clear later. I'm not going to spoil any of that. But did Joel, like, that is obviously kind of the big question hanging over everything. What's funny is that they did play testing, obviously, and so they've known the answer for a while. If you don't have a kid, the answer is like 50-50 yes or no. Did Joel do the right thing? 50% of people say no, that was terrible. 50% of people say, yeah, I see where he's coming from. People who have a kid, 100% of the time are like, yes, absolutely, he did the right
cool.
thing.
So I don't feel so bad then. I don't feel so bad. All right. Well, that, I guess, I mean, and that makes sense. Like I said, and that's what they're trying to tell in this story, I guess, is the power of love, like what it's doing to Joel, at least, because beforehand he wouldn't have given a shit, to be really honest with you.
Oh yeah,
no,
he would have
found his brother.
Heartbeat.
He found his brother. I'm sure if there was no Ellie, he would have loved to have gone back and just lived in that commune with his brother.
He lost a kid. He tried to take his own life. He did all these other negative things. And now he feels like he could have a moment of redemption or something that's going to save him. It's that whole have the scales tipped in my favor. So, is internet? Are we lagging?
No, you're good.
You're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe on your
So you have that moment where it's just
now you're
like
frozen. Sorry.
what?
Now you're
What?
frozen. We hear your audio though.
I usually have the crappy.
Oh, now we don't see. It's like
It's,
beating
it's
I
the
said
curse.
it too many
It's
times.
the
That's right.
commentator's curse.
That's right. Well, we'll hear his thoughts in a minute, but
Sure.
But yeah,
I'll say this. Because I've been
At
with
least something
this
to
for
go
a
through.
while. I've been with this for a while. I've had time to think it over. I think that on the one hand, everyone is wrong for removing Ellie's agency in the situation. She should have been able to make the choice.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And while I don't necessarily blame Joel for making the choice that he did to save her, the reason he did it was not for her. He didn't do it on her behalf. He didn't do it because the Fireflies didn't give her a choice. He did it because he couldn't bear the pain of losing her. It was an entirely a selfish action.
Agreed.
So I do think he's in the wrong. I do think he's wrong for doing it, but that ultimately the outcome wasn't necessarily the wrong thing.
No, I totally get this. And that's the beauty of this argument right here, because you're not wrong.
I don't think this is a situation where you can be wrong.
Yeah, and this is even a situation where, like I said, if you're a parent, maybe you are wrong, but you just don't care.
Yeah,
like some. I'm selfish about my kids. I would give my life for my kids, and if it meant that I had to do something, I would take care of my kids. So, but I totally get it. Like
sacrifice your child that's not a choice you really want to make.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
Well, what else? What else about this episode? Marlene. So he kills Marlene.
Yeah.
Is that part of the game?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he turns back to kill Marlene, which is sort of the brutal cherry on top of everything else. Is like he didn't have to do that.
No, not at all.
He's like, there's a chance that you will come after her, and that's enough. We're just shutting it all down.
Yeah, he's gone full on dad mode. Full on dad mode with a bottle of whiskey. Was the way he went. So
I mean, at that moment, it's not even. I don't even know if I call it dad mode so much as Terminator.
That's a better way to put it. Yeah,
he's just
better way to put it.
Like there's nothing behind the eyes at that point. It's just go.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else y'all want to bring up about this episode? This is the season finale.
The second cameo that so.
Oh yeah.
When he shoots the surgeon in the. In that room where Ellie is, one of the two nurses is Laura Bailey, who plays I believe Sarah in the game, Joel's daughter at the beginning, as well as a really important character in The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So small cameo from that.
But that was also the one. But that character also, everybody's pointing out that when he's actually in the hallway and shooting, you can actually see her run away.
Interesting.
And he doesn't shoot her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
that was kind of crazy. He didn't shoot either one of those nurses. Probably was in there, did he?
No, he didn't.
I didn't notice them get away, but yeah, I guess that.
It's like when he's in the hallway and you see like the nurses station, that kind of thing. You can see her kind of come around the corner, and then it kind of moves to where you're like looking from Joel's point of view, and you can see her running down the hallway.
Yeah.
Further down, but he's like shooting everybody else, but he doesn't shoot her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, this is a fantastic show. I can't wait for season 2.
God,
it makes me want to play the game, but I'm currently in the process of buying PlayStation 5, and like right now, I've got a whole game list. I've got like Hogwarts, No Man's Sky, Call of Duty, NBA 2K.
Well, I will say
skip Hogwarts. It's not worth it.
Really? You're the first person I've heard not say that. Everybody else I've heard said it's the most amazing game they ever played.
It's not great.
Really? Okay. My daughter wants it, so I'm buying that for her. Then I'm buying the Five Nights at Freddy game. Five Nights at Freddy.
I'm also staunchly not a Harry Potter fan and haven't been since the third movie came out. Like that was the last time I really loved Harry Potter was Prisoner of Azkaban. So like I'm not in love with the world. That's
makes sense.
Fair enough. But as a game, I just found it pretty mediocre.
Huh. Okay. Well, I will have to. I mean, my daughter wants it, so like I've got to buy one game for everybody in the family. So
I
like
get it.
that's the one she's getting. So I'll definitely check it out. But I'll let you know because that's the first take I've heard like that. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I've just never. But it could be one of those things where everybody's so enthralled with Harry Potter that just no matter what they give you, they're gonna love.
Could very much be that.
You put Harry Potter in a Spider-Man game, and it's gonna be good. So, I don't know.
Very
Well,
true.
I got nothing else for Last of Us. Ross, are you back with us? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
So I'm trying to be. There's a storm coming through, but it's ruining everything.
Oh no!
Oh no, that means
No
it's coming my way
storms,
too.
no.
That means it's coming my way, and then it's coming Sarah's way. Oh my goodness.
No.
Oh well, hopefully we'll get done before it happens. But well, I got nothing else. Wells, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you coming on. It was awesome talking Last of Us with you. It was awesome talking about Megaton. Where can they find you at, or is there anything else you want to say? I guess I should add. And then, if nothing else, just where can they find you at?
Last of Us is great. TV shows are great. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I thought Bella Ramsey did an incredible job, and and just in general, the acting was so on point in all of this. But thoughts of The Last of Us, it's incredible. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing here? Well,
right,
getting the entire thing spoiled for you. But other than that, if you're interested at all in me, I am available on Twitter at Wells Thomp, right there. Just my name minus the last 3 letters. I also have a newsletter called Comics, Cats, and Cocktails, where I talk about all of those things. I just released
another
onomatopoeia. Yeah, exactly.
You talk cats?
Yes, I have. I have 5 cats, and we do some foster work as well. So, baby, little baby. Absolutely. I'm trying to see if I have one of them around. It doesn't look like it. Quaylag was here at the beginning of the show in my lap, but she hopped down a little while ago.
I saw one. Yeah.
That was Quaylag. That's my baby. And then comics is that's what I do on a regular basis, and cocktails. I've been a server for several years, and I know a lot about cocktails. This is
I feel like Angela from The Office. Oh, it's a cat.
Gilly has resting bitch face. We love her.
It's all good.
And then you can find my work. I run between 4 and 5 Kickstarters every year. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will know when one is coming up. I actually have one running right now for Mechaton number 4 and 5. You can get the whole series there. It is incredible. But yeah, Kickstarter.com/fill in the blank. You will find a link, I believe, in the description of this video. So
I will put it in there. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well, Wells, I really do appreciate it, man. And I got to correct myself. That was not onomatopoeia. That was alliteration.
Alliteration, correct.
Yeah, I'm a little bit into some whiskey here, so those big words mess me up. But
all good.
Yeah, but I really do appreciate it, man. It's a great time. I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a great experience. I've really appreciated your questions and enthusiasm. I really loved the book. Is like top 2 favorite things to hear about my comic books. The one tied with that is I paid money for this. So if I hear either of those, I'm immediately happy.
Well, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate it, and I guess we'll stay in contact, man. When the next stuff's coming out, just let me know.
Anytime, absolutely,
man.
Nice meeting you.
See you later.
See ya.
Good guy. I like Wills. That was a good comic. Good guy. Fun times. All right. I guess we can just keep going.
Mac. Hot dog stand Mac.
Ketchup and mustard gun. Like, that's crazy stuff right there. And it was funny because I was reading it, and as I was reading it, I was like, I kind of getting a little comic vibe from this, but I don't want to say it's kind of comic vibe or like comedic vibe, like until they say it. And then he was like, yeah, it's comedic. This, and I was like, okay, cool. I don't feel bad about seeing this as being kind of silly then. Okay, no problem.
No, I feel like that was definitely written in the story.
Yeah. So, well, let's keep going, y'all. Let's. I know Pickle's in the chat, and he was messaging me and Sarah on Twitter earlier about Picard. So I've got his comment starred here. I'll go ahead and show that. Let's talk about Picard.
Species 8472. That's all right. That actually, because Panther Pickle, when I saw that, I actually went back and kind of watched a little bit of that episode, and I remembered it immediately, which Another fun fact about that episode is you've got Billy from Gremlins. He's actually one of the ensigns that's in there.
Okay.
What's his name? Zach. I can't think of his last name anyway. I was just like, oh, yeah. So a lot of cool people have been on Star Trek in all the iterations.
Yeah.
A lot of guest stars.
That's for sure.
Of course,
Look,
this was back in '98 too. So I mean, you know.
I love Panther Pickle, man, because every week when he gets in here, we start talking about Star Trek. He like names like episode, season, and like almost puts a timestamp on what you've got to find. Like he's got this stuff down to an art.
There's
like, dude, he
certain
must
ones
have an
I
archive.
remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember them all because Lord of Mercy, I can't.
And hold on, 10 rewatched all of Picard.
Yes. Way to go.
Like that's some
10,
stupid shit that I would do. Like,
yes. That's a good call, though. I can't say it's a bad watch. And honestly, if
Nope.
you got the time and you start watching season 1 and you see there's 3 seasons, I would probably just be like, fuck it, I'm binging it because it's that good. And every season gets better, to be truly honest with you. Like,
oh my God, this season is just, oh my.
This is still, with everything we're watching, with The Last of Us finale, with everything else, the best thing I'm watching on TV right now. It really is. Like, I saved it for last because I wanted to have it the most fresh in my mind. And it's just, it gives me the most questions. And maybe it's because I'm like a new Star Trek fan. I'm not sure. But this show is just blowing me away. And I have no idea what's coming next.
Doesn't it feel like a movie? To me, it feels like more because it's like everything that's going into the production of it. It's just, I'm like, this is not like television. This is like freaking movies. It's like a,
they're pulling out all the stops.
I know. It's fantastic.
That's the thing. They're bringing all the people back. They're pulling out all the stops. I mean, it is a TNG homage. It is a TNG champion story. Just the shit that they are doing for this one show for the final season.
I'm like, don't say that. Don't say the F word. No, I can't. No. I can't. No.
Not yet.
Denial.
Well, they're setting up for a really good buy for Jean-Luc Picard. Like I just feel this big tension coming in. Honestly, this week, every week it throws me for a loop kind of on what I'm thinking is going to happen and what actually happens. So, I mean, we'll start breaking down this episode. Like, first of all, you get not the flashback, but I guess, is it a dream with Jack?
It was all a dream.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I was thinking the whole entire time. Like, what is happening with this dude right now?
Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this guy. And you guys know more about Star Trek than I do. I think Pickle said that on Twitter, the same thing about the Voyager episode, or Star Trek Voyager episode, when to go and who Jack was. And I think Ross was like, don't spoil it for me. And I was like, you can't spoil it for me. I like, there's no way you can spoil it for me. I don't like I don't know the story beforehand. So it's perfect. I can just find anything I want to. That sounds cool.
But they're throwing a lot of stuff in there. And that's one thing. And one thing that 7 and 9 mentioned, she, mentioned the Dominion War. And Dominion War, that was from DS9. That's where you had the changelings. So it's like the fact that you have all these changelings in there, I'm just like, and then there's so many different ways this can go. And I'm just like, oh, this is nuts. And especially talking about the changelings, how much they've like evolved. And of course, Beverly Crusher being Beverly Crusher. And she's like, oh, they're just, you have to like take it down to like actually take organs out and, because they're passing the bioscans. It's all this. And just like, oh man, this is, they're really Picarding it because Picard has like really taken everything like to the next level.
Yeah, it really has.
Which is good. Like if I had to say anything about what I wanted Star Trek to do, next level would be it, because I want to see the next thing that they do. And Star Trek has always been like that, but Picard is doing it with class, with absolute class.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. It's like, okay, so we get this scene in the episode where I guess this lady is somebody that Picard was under Picard at one point in time.
Ro.
Oh, Ro Lord.
Okay. Was under Picard at one point in time, as far as not under. When I say under, I mean like as far as under command ranking wise.
She's Bajoran. Now she's Bajoran.
Okay.
And the thing about it, because like with the earring that he was talking about, because see, that's really with the Bajoran, with their religion, that's something that's really big to them. So when he mentioned the fact that, she fought, because, really you're not supposed to have anything, wear anything, whatever, you're supposed to be just like nothing, like any other,
culturally
type thing.
muted.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, come hell or high water, I'm going to wear this because it's part of who I am and it's what it is. I mean,
Right.
that's it. That's point blank. So the fact that, that came into play, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And it's just even the banter that they had between, because Bo Lauren is like the perfect person to have in there when you have a question of trust, because that's just her character. That's who she is. With her going, when they were talking about the Maquis and that kind of thing, I was just like, oh, it was too much. I was just like, oh my God, this is insane. I just love the fact, even for that little bit that they brought her in. I mean, it just spoke volumes of like where they're going with this story.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, that's what this season's doing. There's so many Easter eggs they're throwing into it. And even if you don't know who she is, they gave just enough background to where you could kind of connect the dots. You
Right.
understood how important she was. You kind of understood, her character, or when I say her character, like who she is, that kind of thing. So, because when you have Beverly saying trust no one, I'm like, whatever, lady, whatever, go to sick bay, whatever.
So said the doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, if you have, somebody like Ro Lauren, she's like, don't trust anybody. You're like, oh, you better listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
No.
She is steadfast in her principles.
Yes.
I mean, Ensign Ro has always been, she's always been Ensign Ro to me. She has been the, how so many shows have like truth tellers and like all these different types of things in them that like the seers, go see them for like the future and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ensign Ro has
the
been
wisdom.
she has been the one that has been able to see the truth when it is harder for everyone else to see it. She's the one that has been able to pick up on all the conspiracies to the truthful point.
Right.
So it's great to see her to come back. It's great to see her, in a position in Starfleet that has completely played up to her best characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Sarah being a pro on Bajoran people,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you have, like I slipped in there, the whole culturally muted thing in Starfleet is funny because, they try to make sure that they keep enough of their culture to bring in Starfleet without it breaking like a uniform code, I guess would be the best way to say it. And so it's so good because you're convinced right off the bat in this story, in this episode, that Ro is there for specific reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And she brings like this, Picard, you screwed up. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to separate everyone. We're going to have conversations. And then you get the best outcome, what that could pretty much happen, period. And you get her to sit there and flip everything into the conspiracy theory and be like, it's so bad right now that I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
And see,
you get
that's
that
what's
reach back.
That's what's great is because I don't know this character, so like I immediately hated her. Like right off the bat, I was like, "Oh, I fucking hate this bitch," And then you have that turn. I'm like, "Oh, I love her," type thing. Great job with the acting. Like I said, I that's the best part about coming into this not knowing anything, is because I can still be surprised. I'm sure if you knew who this character was and you saw her at first, you're like, "There's something else going on," type thing. But for me, I was just like, "She's a bitch." Like she's gonna screw everything up.
Oh, dude, you
came
just pretty much.
She came into the
Pretty much
screen.
so.
Yeah, like her character would.
Well, she was doing her job, so I can't get too mad about that. She was doing what she's supposed to do, but I don't know. So okay, there was a moment I was gonna open the show with this with like Worf, no type thing. I thought that was real. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way you kill this character off like this right now. And it didn't happen. So let's talk about that scene. The whole thing with Rafi and Worf. So let me ask, is Ro Worf's handler? Is that why whenever Worf tried to contact Ro, she got a hold of Picard and Riker?
Either is that or they worked together. But I'm assuming that she was the handler.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get this character in here that is I don't want to. It's not. It's Vulcan. Is that what he is?
Mm-hmm.
Like a bad Vulcan. And I love this actor.
Gone
This,
rogue Vulcan, it's like I
yeah.
love it, absolutely love it.
Well, this actor is great because he plays a great villain. He was a villain in Arrow for a couple seasons.
I
and
thought
what's
so
funny
because
is
he looked familiar, but I didn't go down the
Yeah.
hole to figure out where he came from. So.
what's funny is I remember him the most, like immediately when I see his face from Friends. Like he was Chandler's roommate in Friends for a few episodes.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So like when I think about that, I'm like, oh crap, this is like this guy's been in acting for a while, and he still looks the exact same to me. But he plays a great villain. And so we have this rogue Vulcan in here. And I guess is he working with the changelings? Is that the whole deal?
It's the criminal underbelly of the world. I can't remember the name of the world right off the bat. So what you definitely get is that they all know more than what anyone leads on to, because if you're going to have any sort of terrorist style faction, they deal in the underbellies of the dark alley areas, right? So they know more than they lead on to. Now, we knew that Rafi was going after the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that was all like a sleight of hand. The media was trying to get out to the world or the universe that they had a handle and a grasp on the situation, knowing who the bad person was. And Rafi knows that like they're only beginning to understand what is happening, and she's trying to dig into it, in like a typical addictive personality kind of way. She wants to like find the answers now, and she's going after it hardcore. And you have Worf basically holding her back from being like full Rafi,
Meditating all the time. Yeah.
Don't go that distance, like chill out, like we can figure this out, but it's chess not checkers. And this guy brings in here's best way I can describe it is that you keep going through the levels of the chain of command, and what was the last guy's name? Started with an S. Sneed.
I don't know.
So Sneed
Yes,
was the one that Sneed was the one that like you go and get your drugs from, like he knew some shit, but like he wasn't like the bad guy, right? And it's like this is like the next guy up in line, and like I love the fact that they chose a Vulcan, because it's like it's logical order of things and the progression of events and like all that kind of stuff. Vulcans would get completely. They would be the best planners, the best chess players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to see those levels depicted in this type of story, because that's what I want. I want the deep ingrained story.
Right.
So when you bring this guy and you know whether or not he knows the changelings and he knows more than he's leading on, he is trying to completely sidebar you with the fact that he turned the whole Worf and Raffi fight into a wager.
Right.
It's like, that's what's important right now. None of the things that I know is important. But then you come to find out at the end, ultimately, he knows a little bit about the changeling and the whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was a great scene. Like I said, when I saw Worf get stabbed and I thought he died, I was like, oh shit. I was like, they're really gonna take out this like OG character like this. Like, that doesn't seem very good.
That's got to be a sleight of hand.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very good. But obviously, it was a trick. So Worf's still alive. We see communication with him and Riker and Picard at the end, which is cool. So we know that
it was all off guard too. Like it was, they as actors treat it really well. Like,
holy shit,
seen you in forever.
Yeah,
where you been, man?
Yeah,
you lost some weight. Like you're looking good.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that everything was in Rose's earring. That was the really cool thing too, because it was just adding to that. So it's like, okay, you got this means a lot, but yet it means a lot.
And it was funny how I like the whole spycraft comment from Riker. I like the fact that he was like, hold on a second, like things aren't always what they seem. Where you have Picard, who has a certain type of knowledge about him that you can't get through Riker or Shaw or any of the other captains that show up for captain's dinner. Riker just has that like I've seen a little bit more. Like, like I've asked a few more questions that you probably wouldn't ask. I've done a little bit more incognito captain things than you have. So I love that little bit being brought in. You got Janeway name drop, chance to roll.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just
brought back the Intrepid.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they're just, look at this.
Well, I do love in this show too how who's the captain of the ship originally that they're
Shaw.
kind of
Yeah, we gotta
Shaw.
talk about that dude.
Let's talk about
William
Shaw.
Right off,
I love the
that
actor.
entrance.
I love the job he's doing, and I love that like he makes logical decisions. He really does. Like they bring up the point like they're coming over in a shuttle, and he's like, "Are their transporters broken?" And it's like there's got to be like right then you can see he's the red flag. Like, why are they coming over in a shuttle as opposed to a transporter? So I love that he uses logic, and he's one of those guys that you want to hate, but you know that in the end he's going to make the right decision. Type guy.
He's so personable. Like he's like, look, you all screwed up. You all deserve to be court-martialed, but I'm going to give you these few minutes to get your story straight.
Right? Yeah. Walk out. Yep. Yeah, and like it's crazy because like I don't feel like he wants them to get in trouble, but it's one of those things that like until it actually happens, you don't realize the levity of it. And you're just kind of I don't know.
He kind of took like a quarter or like a half turn, like from being completely difficult to like and to be that person, like I said in the very first episode, like to where for a second where he's not standing up when Captain and Admiral enter the room. You get the opposite of that here to where it's like he's gone far enough to where he has passed his Locutus, just everything else that he holds on to as being a problem.
Right.
Oh, he spoke his piece when he said that. He spoke his piece. That's kind of
so now he's just the captain again, and he's like, well, you came here, you messed some things up, you got to deal with it. I'm going to go to my quarters. Peace.
Right. Have fun.
Yep.
I like him as a character, man. I like the actor. Great casting. Is he new for this show?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's not the first Star Trek role that he's had, but this is the first edition of Captain Shaw.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I got nothing else about. Huh?
Oh yes,
he's going to be at GalaxyCon.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah, another person to visit.
I sent that to you.
There we go.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I know. You know me.
I got more to say. Jack's a badass.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Jack.
Where did
Jack
that
is
come
a badass. Yeah, just tearing people up left and right. What did he take out 4 of them by himself?
Yeah. And they made that point. They're like, how did you know that all 4 of them were changelings? And I love the fact he's like, I didn't.
It's kind of like you're in a corridor and it's like, oh, there he is. You're like, oh, no, I'm not.
Yep.
Yeah, I just kind of did it. They were attacking me, so I fought back. I mean, it's self-defense, right?
I mean, his visions are real. The fact that he's listening to his mom's voice, like all these different things. There's a whole lot going on.
Do you think that Jack doesn't know what he is? Or does he know and fears like what it could be? What's up?
I think that Jack is worried about not being in control, just like any other person would be.
Okay.
There's
so he knows there's something wrong. But
yeah, there's something not clicking or whatever. And when he makes a statement, it's like, I think there's something wrong with me. I'm like, you may be correct.
What is the whole like vines growing around stuff thing with him? Is that it's a vision right now? But like, does that tie in any Star Trek stuff, or is that new as well?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just like one of those kind of like foretelling type deals, or I can't remember something, or I don't know.
Okay.
What you got? What are you thinking, Ross? Dive deep back into that.
I want to see where it goes first. Because I feel like what they're doing is taking a premise that has only been discussed on screen and not ever shown. And I feel like if that is so, I want to know what they do with it. I don't want to spoil anyone for it. Okay. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious on where it's going to go.
I can respect that. Okay. Well, like I said, I got nothing else about Picard. Unless y'all want to. The only thing I would say is I highly recommend this show. Tin Tizzy in the chat says he is binged all 3 seasons, which I would recommend too if you haven't watched any of them. However, Like I tell the people at work who haven't seen any of it, I said, you don't have to watch season 1 and 2 to watch season 3 and have a good time. That's the best thing about this.
The seasons are definitely kind of encapsulated.
Yeah, they really, really are. Like beyond a few characters, like you don't have to watch anything else. And Panther Pickle says 8472 has vines.
When I said don't spoil it for me, when you guys sent me his tweet, and because I'm not on social media, and I was like, hold on, no, don't, because I've been picking up on some things.
Well, it's not just that; it's just what are they going to do with the changelings? Because I mean, like I said, oh yes, Panther, yes, I did see that too. Yes, Harry, yes. But anyways, but like I said, with the changelings, I want to know what that's all about too, because I mean, like I said, it's, you know, with the Dominion War and then, you know, having all this, just I don't know.
It's a rebellion, like faction type idea is what it is. Don't be sorry, you're right. When I bring up the F word, I want to get the maximum output out of this.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You know, like
I mean, then you should go into it like me and not watch any Star Trek going into the finale of Picard, and then you'll totally be surprised by everything.
But I mean, like I said, I mean,
some sort of mind flayer, I'll be all right.
You know, with species 8472, it's an evolution. So I mean, you know, what we know of prior, there's no telling what this could possibly develop into. So I mean, even if you knew that, you know, that one little bit, you know, it's kind of like, you know, foretelling or teasing or that kind of thing. So it's just, yeah, I would say the changes look a lot better than what they have in the past.
Oh my God, so much better.
Technology.
I mean, when you start going, I used to watch Deep Space Nine, thinking that like, man, that's cool for TV. You know, back before anything was ever HD or any of that kind of stuff, and you're like, look at what computer graphics can do, and now you're like, wow, that was really rough. Like, yeah. That's really
cool
rough.
For its time. You got to realize everything evolves.
I'm still a fan. I'm still a fan of puppets and practical effects over computer animation. Almost every movie you have that in, it makes it better. Sorry, like think about The Fifth Element. If you do The Fifth Element and you do those long-eared monsters or whatever, computer graphics as opposed to practical effects. It doesn't work. Like it just doesn't work. It's crazy. But I don't know. We'll see. Well, what else you got, Picard? What are we 4 episodes in now?
5, right?
5
of 10. We're at the halfway point.
Okay, halfway. All right. It's interesting. We got 5 more episodes of Jean-Luc Picard on television or on screen as, well, excuse me, Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard, and then you probably won't ever see him again. I love saying that, Jean-Luc Picard.
Guess
it rolls off your tongue. Yeah, it rolls off your tongue. It's crazy. But
he's French, but yeah, his has a British accent.
He's French, but he never surrenders. It's crazy. Oh, did you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah, you're funny globally. That works everywhere.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on then. Ross, you brought up the mind swipe thing, and I guess that's just the teaser, or at least the
Don't do Bad Batch first. Do
Bad Batch
first, and then bring Mandalorian in.
Okay, we can do that. Let's do Bad Batch first.
What are we on? We're on 10.
Nope. Oh hell, I don't know. I'll look it up.
It's up there. We are double digits, I think.
13. We're on 13. The episode's called Pabu. Yeah.
Talk about a filler episode. My goodness gracious. Filler episode. I guess it could have implications in the future, but you didn't even see the Bad Batch in their gear. They were in clothes. Like, when do you ever see stormtroopers or clone troopers just in clothes? Like, it really threw me off.
In clothes.
Maybe I just didn't add. No, they were in. Oh, they had their armor on last episode.
At the beginning of last episode, when they're complaining to whoever, they're like, like we want to see like action and blah blah blah. It was a whole bunch of clone troopers that were in clothes. We've seen clone troopers in the bar wearing clothes. We've seen clone troopers.
I guess I mean Bad Batch in clothes. It's weird to see. It's weird to see Hunter not wearing his uniform. It's weird to see Wrecker not wearing his tech. Like it just looks weird. I don't know. It's strange.
But
I get it.
Coming in at the
I get
beginning
it.
in the bar.
This is not Mando. You don't always have to
they're
wear
undercover.
your gear. Yeah, I get it. It's just
This
it's
is
just weird.
not the way.
That's right.
And what's Tech trying to be a player? What's up with that?
Tech has had an eyeball for her. Like it's strange,
If I
but
was his friend, I would advise him against it. I'm just saying.
Well, because
I'm
the voice
just
actress.
talking shit because I don't. I'm just talking shit because I don't like the
Yeah.
voice actress. It has nothing to do with anything else. I just don't like the voice actress, so I don't want that to be taken the wrong way. And I'm making a joke as well. So
Start at the beginning. They're in the bar. They're doing a deal. What we've come to gather is the fact that they're not dealing with Sid anymore because Sid left them to die on that planet. So
right.
Sid, and we are now in a position where V has taken like Omega kind of like not under her wing, but she's like using Omega as like a partner in this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing this deal for what appears to be some shit that you could buy at some Japanese store in the mall, and
like a jade tree or something like that.
Yeah, a ton of credits for it. Because I don't know what their worth or value are, but little mini suitcase of them look like a whole lot of credits.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the guy was going to kill them regardless, and he had multiple ways to kill them, and then we get to see the death centipede thing come back from like episode 2. Like you get all these little crawbacks from different parts of Star Wars. Yes.
It was like, oh, there you go.
There's such the biggest thing to pull away from the opening scene was the fact that Omega has kind of come to her own.
Right.
She's been able to. She's past that. I don't know who I am. I don't know why I am, but I am. She's in that I am moment right now. So that's cool to see.
Episode 2 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anakin episode 2.
A lot less testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the cool shot of her shooting the bell light thing down and like capturing the bad guy in it. But then they leave, they get on their ship after getting both the credits and the jade tree thing back. And they're going to go to Fee's planet because they get the message from Sid saying, like, hey, remember this works both ways, and I know who you are, and if you don't want that dispersed out into the world, then you might as well come back and help me, which
is kind of blackmail.
It's absolutely blackmail. I just didn't want you to make a Wanda Sykes joke.
Well, that's the world they live in.
It is. It is. When you are the end of an era with being clones, it is like your headshot number one. Like your people, everyone wants to come after you because you don't belong anymore. They want to eradicate you. So I thought it was really cool. I definitely got Game of Thrones vibes from them going to this planet.
Really? Okay. Yeah, maybe I can see that from. Yeah, I see
the type of planet that it was. Like the long walks, the wall, like all these natural things that needed to help them out. Yes, you got the tech scene where you feel like the two of them are trying to do something. You had Hunter, like something's coming, and you're like, duh.
So
at least you're the one person that pays attention.
Yeah, does he sense stuff before it happens? Is that his kind of thing?
No, he was picking up on all like the natural wildlife vibes. It's something that when you pick up on elements of things that are around you that no one else is picking up on, like I feel like I do it quite a bit. Like where you feel. It's gonna sound stupid. Like you feel like it's gonna rain. You feel the storm coming. Everyone can feel that. They feel like the dampness in the air and that kind of crap. He felt like all the wildlife was moving and like everyone was going for cover except for the people that knew how to figure that out.
Right.
And then you had the earthquake hit and the tsunami essentially that was coming through, and it was funny because you got Wrecker being Wrecker. He's like, just gonna sit here and drink and have fun, like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And of course, you send the moment that you feel safe. You're going to send Omega and new friend out and go do their own thing as teenagers for a little while.
Mhm.
And it's not safe.
So, can I ask, like, the villain in this episode was Mother Nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that
yeah.
wave and the tremors and everything was not caused by anything else other than just natural, and it just happened to be bad at this time that they were there.
I think it was the idea that you have any situation that we go in seems like it could be the worst possible one. And no matter if we go to paradise or if we go to war, we seem to be getting the worst of the end of the stick, right? And so it's made to make them feel like there is no safe space.
Right.
And
But it also kind of makes them feel like even if worst case scenario here is this, we're okay. It's way easier than the worst case scenario anywhere else, right?
yeah. Yep. I think you're exactly right. You know, they're put in an impossible situation, but they figure it out because of the Bad Batch, and you know the A team always figures it out. So it's fun to see. It is very much adult themes in the kid story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to respect that a little bit. I like to think that it's pretty cool. Not everything has to be very kiddish, and the Bad Batch is for everyone. Just like Rebels is for everyone, and Clone Wars was for everyone. And I love the duality of being able to tell multiple stories in a universe that just about everyone loves. So
makes a ton of sense. But yeah, I mean, you know, Bad Batch short episodes. I mean, beyond the intro and the credits at the end, it's really only like an 18-minute episode for most of the shows, 18, 20-minute episodes. So it's not really a long watch. It's just now we're left with the option of what is Bad Batch going to do? Are they going to retire? I guess is kind of what you would say, retire on Kibu. Is that the name of the planet? Something like that? Kebu or
Pabu.
Bu?
I think Pabu.
Pabu. Yeah, Pabu. That's what it was. Yeah.
There's what, Upper Pabu and Lower Pabu.
Yeah.
And Lower
So I
Pabu
guess-
needs to be rebuilt.
All right. They're left with this question of, are they going to basically retire there or continue to fight for what they're not really sure what they're fighting for yet or at all? So it'll be interesting to see.
Did you guys think about your live action Bad Batch roles?
Oh, you know what? I thought about
No one
it.
did they?
I know I did.
didn't,
I really
no.
did. But I could only think of one that really, well, I could think of two.
If you say Tamora Morrison, I'm going to kick you in the nuts the next time I see you.
No, I'm not gonna say Tamora Morrison. No. Who's the guy who played? I don't know if you know this. The Last of Us, the father in The Last of Us. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember his name.
Oh, the guy from last episode?
Not Last of Us. I'm sorry. God, why did I say Last of Us? I
I
meant
don't know.
This Is Us. Do you remember the drama This Is Us? I don't know if you ever
Yeah,
watched
but
it.
I never watched it.
Okay.
I know of it, yeah.
The guy who plays the dad, which is one of my calls for a guy to play Superman, because I think he'd play a great Superman. I think he'd play a good Hunter.
It's not the one
And
that was in Heroes, is it?
He was in Heroes. Yes.
Milo.
Oh.
Vitamin.
Yeah, Villanella or something like that.
The guy
Yeah.
with the glasses.
Yes. He would
was the
play a good.
cheerleader's
He would
dad
play a good
in
Hunter.
Heroes.
Yeah, he'd play a good Hunter. And then, of course, for Wrecker, it's just any guy that's big and bald. So you could put The Rock, you could put Vin Diesel, you could put a bunch of different people in there, and it would just work. You know,
Did you say Ross Gronk?
Gronk. You could
I
put Gronk
did
in
say
there.
that last week.
You
Yeah,
could put
yeah.
Gronk in there, and it would work exactly. So, but beyond that, I couldn't really think of anything else. Like I couldn't think of any like solid. Like this is tech. This is.
I got some different ones, and like I was thinking about on and off throughout the week. I think I watched Bad Batch first out of everything just because it was a quick episode. Hunter, I could see Cillian Murphy, the guy who played Scarecrow in the Batman Begins, just because I like the face structure.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can
But
see that.
I think that it would be fun to see Jean-Claude Van Damme play him, just because it would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
I
the accent and
truly,
everything.
I really think that if he could get rid of his Southern accent, Matthew McConaughey would be cool to have as that role.
As
the
Hunter?
face. Yeah, if he could do face
Really?
tattoo and get
Okay.
if he could get real pissed
It's
off
like,
and
like,
real
like
mean.
that strong jaw, like that.
Yeah.
That kind of.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. If he could get rid of that, less hippie, more like Vietnam, like kill Charlie. Tech, the first person I thought of, Neil Patrick Harris.
Really?
Ooh, okay.
Because I could
Yeah,
see
I could
him
see that.
going full like Sheldon on it.
Yeah, I could see that. Or shit, for all that you're mentioning, who's the guy who plays Sheldon? He could play a decent.
I
Tech.
thought
Jim
about
Parsons.
that, but that's how I got to Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, Jim Parsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guy that played, and this is before I actually saw Mandalorian, the guy that played Dr. Pershing, I thought could do it. And Doug Jones, the guy who plays Captain Saru from Discovery, I thought would be an interesting take on it too. So he's just really tall.
Okay. See, the only issue is I think you have here is you've got to have guys who look somewhat similar, right? Because technically they're all twins, right?
Well, it's not just that. I feel like there's just like a
clones,
certain
but-
body type you should kind of like fall into.
And that's where I
Like,
struggled with Wrecker. Like Wrecker, how do you get the? There's so many people I could think that could play him, but just suck as like actors.
Yeah.
I
That's
thought
true.
Tamora Morrison could pull it off if he went like full crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
you'd have to have a lot of CGI in there, though. He'd have to get a lot bigger. I
If
like him as an
Jason
actor.
Momoa would shave his head, I would be down for Jason Momoa for Wrecker.
You'd have a lot of women not
Okay.
liking you.
Yeah, that's true. I think the ladies love the hair.
Yeah, don't you mess with our Jason Momoa.
I don't know how long it takes him to grow hair. I
So
mean,
who does Pedro Pascal play? Is the question, because he's the guy right now, right? He's casting everything, and he's got to be Hunter, right?
He's already in
He's got to be
Star
Hunter
Wars. We're
because
good.
Hunter takes care of
We're
Omega,
good.
right? Yeah, he's
We're
got to be
good.
Hunter.
He's already in
Think
Star
he'd
Wars.
be
We're
Hunter.
good.
That's true. He is already
He
in
has
Star
his
Wars. I think
character.
about that. You can't really do that.
I had Echo. This is gonna be a little weird. Echo, I think you could use someone like Macaulay Culkin. And why? Because if you shaved that shit's head, I think he would look bald, pale, and frail, just like Echo does.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I'm not gonna lie, it's funny at first thing about that, but that's actually
It
pretty good
is.
casting.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That's a pretty good casting call. I like that. And he probably needs some work. Not gonna lie.
The other one that I think of would be what's it? David with the weird last name. The guy that played Polka Dot in.
Oh yes, yeah.
Polka Dot Man,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think
He's
he
also
could
in
play
Ant-Man.
Echo. Yeah, just not the last Ant-Man. I
Wasn't
think
he
he
in
could do
Winter
it.
Soldier too? No, he's similar to the guy in Winter Soldier. What about the guy who plays not
You're
Zola?
thinking of Crossbones.
No, I'm not thinking about Crossbones. That would actually be a good wrecker. Now I think about it. No, the guy who plays in Winter Soldier, who is not Zola, but he's the guy who is trying to turn Bucky, the guy who's saying the words in the chamber and gets killed at the
I
end.
don't know
He
his
would
name.
play a good Echo. I mean, I don't know.
There's
It's
possibilities.
interesting casting. Yeah. No, none of us said Crosshair there. Is there a Crosshair thought for anybody? In
I
there?
do. I got
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Oh.
What is it?
Wentworth Miller, I think, was the one that was my number one pick for Crosshair. And Wentworth Miller plays like Dr. Chill or whatever on like The Flash, or he ends up being.
Oh yeah. Gosh, what is?
He was on the other one. What was it? Prison Break?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Captain
I
Cold.
don't know. I might could see
He
him
plays
as
on
like
Flash, Captain Cold, right?
Captain Cold. That's what
Captain
it is.
Cold, yeah.
Dr. Chill.
It sounds like it sounds right. Yeah.
Fucking fits. Who cares?
No, I like that.
Man.
That would be good. He's a great actor
Right.
too.
If he could get rid of if he could just like whisper pissed offly, like, it would work pretty well. So
Kind of brooding, whispering type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it'd be fun, man. I got nothing else for Bad Batch. Do y'all?
I had Omega.
Oh, this ought to
Before
be
we
a good one.
finish,
Yeah, let's talk about
you guys
it.
ever watch? Did you guys watch Yellow Jackets?
No.
All right, so Yellow
Is that a
Jackets had-
soccer or volleyball movie about a girls' team?
It's the soccer volleyball team that they were flying the nationals and their plane crashed and they did like.
Wow, did
survival
I nail that
bullshit.
without even knowing anything about it? It just sounded like a
Kinda.
soccer volleyball. It sounded like
I've
Ladybugs.
talked about it a couple times on here.
Well, it sounded like Ladybugs. Remember when we were younger with what's
Yes,
the name? That's what it sounded like. So
And nobody gives me slack.
Rodney Dangerfield. Oh my
There were
God.
2 actresses in that I think could pull off Omega. So if you haven't seen it, then I'll send you guys pictures later. But I definitely, it's hard to pick young. I'm going to use the word talent with the lowercase t here. That would be able to play Omega. So
Yeah, I'd like to see
Well,
Omega's
yeah.
live action bow blaster. That'd be pretty cool.
that would be cool to see.
That'd be pretty cool. Like, I know you don't like that weapon, Ross, but in live action, that weapon would be pretty cool.
That'd be a selling point, right?
It's like a compound bow, but the whole compound thing is like
Right.
all electricity.
There's no compound about it. Anybody can pull that back. Yeah. There's no weight to pull it back. So, all right. Well, gosh, my dog won't shut up, but I can't mute it while I'm trying to go on to the next show. So she'll just have to be part of the show. Lucy is part of the show. She's one of the mascots. So
That's all right. I just ran my kid out, so I'm like, thought he was sit over here trying to eat some goldfish. I'm like, no, that's not about to happen.
Bye bye.
I'm so
Skip to
hungry
the next
that all I
show.
have to eat is chicken. Oh, but it's so good. I love chicken. Anyway, let's skip to the next show. Last show, Mando. You know what? I want to start this one off, okay? Because I know that I said last week that at least at the beginning of the episode, it was kind of like dragging on for me. It was like, okay, am I really watching this again? Am I watching him travel through space, talking to Grogu? Like, I'm just getting kind of tired of it. This whole redeem himself type thing. This episode was great. This episode was phenomenal. Like, it begins with an amazing space battle. It ends with an awesome Mandalorian, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, congregation. And in the middle of it is a fantastic political thriller. Like, I loved this episode. When I was watching it, I actually watched this episode twice because I liked it so much. I don't necessarily remember the character from before that played the Doctor, but I love his story arc in this, and it's so funny. Like, the whole premise behind this is like, trust this government. We're here for you. And then you see what happens to him. Now, I do want to ask, though, because I'm so fucking confused about this. This show throws me off of my timeline with Star Wars like crazy, because this is in between episodes 3 and 4, correct?
No.
No? Well, then how was young Luke Skywalker in there?
When was young Luke Skywalker in there?
Last season.
A Mandalorian?
Of Mandalorian, yes, the young Luke Skywalker, remember? There's no way you don't remember the finale of last season where young Luke Skywalker comes in and he saves Mando.
No,
and then he takes Grogu away.
No.
Well, either way, but what I'm saying
Luke
is
Skywalker. You saw post Return of the Jedi.
So that's
Luke
post.
Skywalker.
Okay, that's where it's throwing me off. Then
Yeah.
that's post Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
That solves everything. That solves everything for me right
he
there.
He came in with a green lightsaber.
I know. I
dressed in black.
Yeah.
The dressed in black
my
thing.
homies.
Yeah, I guess they should have thrown it up or told me, but I don't know, man. Like, that just threw me off. My mindset was so crazy about where we at here because they're talking about the Empire
young
being
Skywalker.
gone,
he
and
wasn't
then
a kid. What am I missing here?
Well, I guess it's because because now I know what Mark Hamill looks like, and I've only seen Mark Hamill like Mark Hamill is for the last 20 years. And then when I see the young version of him, I automatically think young Luke Skywalker. But yeah, I guess that makes a good point. I was just off on it. So you solved it right there. Mystery solved. There's my timeline problem.
Let me check the scroll for a second. A lot of people have this problem. A lot of people don't know how the Star Wars shows are working because, like I said many a times last week included, when you start bringing out all of these stories, just like you did with The Force Awakens and Rogue One, you start delving into different timelines at one time, and it becomes very
Same
difficult
story,
for
different time.
fans to digest.
Mhm.
There has been Andor, Bad Batch, Mandalorian has gone on, but Mandalorian has been kind of, that's why I call it the Mandalorian television universe, because it was kind of like one of the first ones that kind of came through. It is difficult as a fan, even one that knows all of the crap, how to follow all this stuff. Because as much as I like to know what they're doing and why what they're doing, I mean, like, they're all over the map.
Like, when are they doing?
You know? Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you think about it.
What is that joke? Yeah,
because I mean, everything's happening in like the same time. It's just it's different slices of where who's doing what, and you know, because you've got this going on over here, but it's like the same. It's like the same year. It's like, you know, Greg, you doing something over here, Ross, you doing something over here, and I'm doing something over here, but it's still within the same time period. Right. So it's that's what it's kind of, sometimes it's like, all right, well, where's it? You know, it's not fully linear. It's like everything's going at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It is extremely difficult because I'm going to use this as a great aspect later. But when you bring in the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, all these characters, you get easily confused because you're like, isn't Boba Fett supposed to be dead? What's happening with Luke? Didn't he die in a movie?
Right. Yeah.
The Mandalorian is who? Wait. Okay, so the Mandalorian is taking place between. We've seen flashbacks. We've seen all these different things. Wait, he has a baby Yoda? Yoda was like 900 years old. So
right.
This is a baby one. Right. And like now you're like completely confused because like there's so many aspects of things that are being thrown at you. So
yeah,
it is a actual problem, and Squirrel Chase is done.
Well, okay, and that Squirrel Chase answered a lot of questions for me. So I guess my next question about this episode is going to be: did Grogu say this is the way? Like, did we get his first words in this episode? Was he saying this is the way? Because there's the scene with Bo-Katan and Mando in the ship, and they're like, "This is the way. This is the way." And then Grogu is like, or something like that. Did he say this is the way?
It definitely seemed like it. I feel like if this were the comic book that we covered earlier from tonight, it would be a quote box of static.
Okay, that makes sense. So I feel like his first words are going to be something Mandalorian.
People said was it last episode that we were on Tatooine again? That like he said Pele when he jumped out, and
she
saw
said
Pele.
He said Pele. She just wanted him to say Pele. That
right,
was like
but
the
a lot
ant
of people were like,
the ant that was like, "Did you hear him?"
Sound like Pele.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's possible.
Yeah. So I want to know about this dickhead Mandalorian that I know is going to be a problem later. The one who doesn't believe Mando, even though he showed the waters, and Bo-Katan's in the clan now, and he's still like, and he's a badass. Don't get me wrong. This is not a guy I would fuck with by any means. But like, what's his deal? Like, Mando's gone through all this shit, which personally I feel like he's just wasted his time. But he's there now. He's bathed in the waters. Well, he didn't really bathe in the waters. He got sucked down into a tunnel and drawn to the bottom of the pit. But he bathed in the waters. Now he's back. He has the proof.
The background information on that part, though. We'll come back to that.
All right. Like, what's the deal with this guy? Do you guys see him being a problem in the future? Because especially he did not like Bo-Katan. You could tell, did not like her at all. And he's never liked Mando.
He doesn't like outsiders. Like, his problem is, like, if you're not here with me physically in this moment, then, like, you don't exist. He had a problem with Mando when he showed up to their little, whatever the ring planet was that they had in Mandalorian 2.5, the Boba Fett series.
Yeah.
When he showed up there, because they're the two that fought in that scene. And he had that, like, distaste for Din Djarin, like, just because he has a distaste for Din Djarin. Maybe because he has more Beskar than him. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know how they get along. But
I'm not gonna lie, his suit looks cooler.
Who's?
Din Djarin does. The that badass I'm talking about, the guy's kind of an asshole.
His
I
suit,
love it.
his suit looks cooler.
Hell yeah. I love it.
He's heavyweight, dude. His
never a big
jetpack's
chrome
got 3
guy.
boosters on that bitch.
Dude, that suit looks badass. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though.
No, I just think that he's like the heavy artillery guy that shows up, and in the first episode of this show, he just sat there and was constantly firing his Gatling gun right at the alligator turtle hybrid thing. And I'm just like, if it doesn't kill it in the first few minutes, I don't think you're gonna kill it. Like,
you know what though? If I have that weapon, I'm gonna keep shooting. Like, I feel I get what you're saying, but I'm still gonna keep shooting. Like,
well,
if I think it's my only chance.
What else are you gonna do? Like, that's your only weapon, you know? Right. Like, if you're the heavy artillery guy in your squad, and like,
he kind of reminds me of the party. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Wrecker without the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a more
which
serious
bothers
version
me
of Record. Yeah,
because he doesn't have humor, then he's got nothing.
If you're gonna be big and stupid, if you're gonna be big and dumb, you got to be funny too. That's all there is to it.
Can't just be big and dumb.
Right.
I hate the idea. I mean, I think what they're going to slowly do is use him as the. In season 1, he helped bring the is it the Covenant? Is that what they're calling themselves? When they were on Navarro?
Yeah, something.
He kind of was one of the ones that helped Din Djarin and everyone fight against Moff Gideon but they were all leaving. But he was a part of that, and he had no problem with it. And then it seemed like in season 2 or Boba Fett, you know, he held a degree of distaste for Din Djarin because of all that. And they were displaced out of their home on Navarro, which they were displaced out of their home on, you know, Mandalore or anywhere else that they belonged. And so now he just keeps getting like nastier, which means he's probably going to be one of the first, you know, cats that turns around and has open arms for like whatever the next situation or the big war will be in the Mandalorian series.
He'll be the surprise savior of the situation in the end.
Yeah.
The guy that comes in, yeah. You're probably right. But I'm loving the series so far. Like I said, I guess it's hard to say I'm loving the series because I really am. I do love the show. It's just last week, I guess, with the beginning of the show, it just felt like, oh my God, are we doing this again? And I'm so glad they didn't drag out this whole Mando redeeming himself thing for the whole series. This is over now. Let's let Mando do his thing. I'm tired of him trying to redeem himself. Let's see what happens. And now we know Bo-Katan's in the clan too, so she can't take her helmet off.
Well,
I have to say this. I loved it when she's like, "Did you see anything when you were down there?" She was like, "Did you?" He's like, "What? Whoa, what was going?" She's like, "Oh, did you happen to?" I mean, look, she's like, "Did you see what I saw? Did you see what I saw?"
Right.
I was like, "Okay."
It reminded me of Sarah, did you ever watch The Big Bang Theory?
Mm-hmm.
So it reminded me of that moment where like Penny and Raj like woke up in bed with each other. And it's like,
okay.
What happened last night?
Right.
Like,
do you remember what I remember? Because I don't remember anything. The other one's like, oh, I remember everything, but I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
It had that vibe to it. And I like how they opened up the episode right after the finale of last episode. So I also loved in this episode they explained it. They were like, the bombing on Mandalore must have opened up the caves and caverns and stuff that were underneath the living waters or whatever they actually call them. So what I do find funny is like, how did the water rise back up after all that happened? So on and so forth, whatever logical sense you want to make. I'm too Vulcan for that side. It is funny to have the creature change her point of view. She hasn't gone full religion, but she is innocent by proxy. Like, she did take her helmet off afterwards, because if you remember, she offered that pog soup to him, and I don't think she was wearing a helmet when all that shit was going on, but they were like among company. So it's like, yes, her answer was right, and yes, her answer was wrong. But at the same time, but difference doesn't matter. She's only playing. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I would say that's one of those things that's like, did you wear your seatbelt?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't wear your seatbelt. You definitely should. But like, if you don't, should you really get in trouble for it?
We the integrity question. It's like, you do the same thing when nobody's around as you would when somebody was around.
Right.
We constantly question what the true idea of like never taking the helmet off is, because at some point, dude's got to blow his nose, ice knot.
How does he piss?
He probably pisses with his helmet on.
Well, I get that, but you got to take the uniform or the costume off then,
Yeah.
And I've worn these costumes before. It's not easy.
You said last week that he was going to go into the water like completely buck-ass naked with the helmet.
I could not believe they did not give that opportunity to show his face, to be truly honest with you. I really, like when he went in last week, I was like, okay, that's not him bathing in the water.
Oh, they're just going to baptize him?
I thought, that's honestly, that's what I thought. I mean, think about it. This whole thing is like so religious sounding. That made sense, doesn't it? Like, and I thought for sure, I was like, this is Disney's opportunity to put Pedro Pascal's face on screen in Mandalorian. And I kind of can't believe they didn't do it. And honestly,
I mean, he was already in water. How are you going to make people more wet? Like, there's no way. Like if you bring Pedro Pascal's face into this, like, it's just a downpour. Like,
you're right. I get it.
You got to just enjoy the situation that you're in.
Oh yeah, it didn't change it for me. I didn't not enjoy it. I just can't believe they didn't do it. Like it's fine. Whatever. He got sucked down by the ultimate G-force and the dinosaur and whatever else is down there to the bottom of the thing in like 2.5 seconds. Cool. I got no problem with that. I just didn't expect that to be the full extent of the bathing in the waters. I guess is what I should say.
You got to get wet.
Yeah,
it's like, kind of like my kids thing. You just get in, get out.
Right? That's right.
Back to the Grogu talking scene. They're dealing. Basically, it's a dogfight. It's a good dogfight. Like let's be real. Like, it is a good dogfight. You have the TIE interceptors. They're chasing after him. They take care of him. They start bombing Bo's house, Bo's palace, Bo's castle.
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it. And she's like, "Oh, I would have been like, these motherfuckers are gonna die."
Did you not get that kind of feel from her? She's like, "They're bombing my house."
Yeah, but I felt like she didn't go full Bo. Like she definitely like held back for some reason. Maybe because it was shock and awe, and she was definitely on the awe side of it, or shock side of it, both. I think it was almost PTSD. Like they bombed my home planet, and now they're bombing my house. Like, What did I do? Why is this happening to me all over again? She's gonna just dump Mando out of the back of her ride,
which is awesome too, by the way.
Mando got up and he wasn't wearing his jetpack. And then, like, mystically, he had it on, like, out of nowhere. And I'm like...
He put it on off screen. You just didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
He boosted out. He got in the N1 super fast. And then, I don't know if you noticed this, but I sure did. When he got in that N1, he had a full Michael Keaton Batman scene where he went up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came back down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, called out. Yeah. And I'll say too, this dogfight scene was awesome. I love the fight scene at the beginning and the whole clan thing at the end. But Ross, I know you and I both, we have a pretty good knowledge of planes and how they work and different things like that. There's absolutely no way you throw up one side of your wing like that and do a
J turn.
Yeah, It was cool. It was cool for the screen, but I was watching. I was like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like, there's absolutely no way that works like that. Like, sorry, you're going a different direction when you throw that one side up. But I was gonna let it go for this show. But yeah, it was fun.
It definitely had it had that moment where you're just like, whoo. Physics aside, that's really cool.
Right. I will say, Bo-Katan's ship is fucking amazing. I love it.
It is.
Awesome.
Actually, I'm only gonna say this because I've read it in the news. I'm a big Lego fan. I have loved Legos since way back when. And you remember last week's episode with the little whole spider one-eyed thing that caught Mando? They just said that they're gonna they just made it public that they're going to release that. The downside is they're not going to release it until August, which has been one of the biggest problems of product placement for anything that comes out in any of these shows. They don't have it available because they don't want to make it a spoiler for the show until months later. So,
well, they can
that's
keep
one
that
of the,
thing.
and like it's not that big a deal, right? But like
They can
they
keep
would
it.
sell it right now
Oh yeah.
if it came out.
Well, it's funny because I think you could let
Bo
that
Ship
out
is
before the show even came out, and it's still
I
not
mean, I don't think that's a
spoil
huge.
anything for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you gonna spoil? I mean, really?
yeah.
I mean,
I know.
now if you
But-
like have the mythosaur or something like that, I'd be like, okay, well, but still, I mean,
Yes.
that might
Yeah.
be, but not that thing.
Bo Ship is available, and it has been a pretty damn good seller for Lego since it came out after last season. So,
I think it's up in
Yeah.
my boy's room right now.
see,
Don't
there
you
you
have
go.
Bo Ship?
I do love Lego.
Don't
So
you have
even
Bo
though I'm
Baton
missing
Ship?
that part right there on this, it's okay.
Mhm.
It failed one time.
Mhm.
He's got it.
I tell you what, you slap that Lego logo on something, man, and it just jacks the price up like crazy. It's insane, but you got to pay for good stuff, I suppose. That patent will run out soon for Lego.
yeah.
That patent will run out soon, and it'll be cheap. It'll be cheap to buy everything like that. So
Then you had, then like let's just roll into it. The whole Dr. Pershing L-52, was that his designation?
I must have missed something because I did watch Vando. I watched it late last night, so I don't know if I might have fallen asleep on a couple of things, just a couple of items or whatnot. But I'm like, I think I missed that. I don't think I went from A to B on that one.
well, and honestly, this was the reason why I watched this episode twice, is because this was a different twist on what Mando's been about. This felt more Andorish than
Yeah.
Mando.
Did
The entire
I loved
episode.
it?
Like I said, it was
I
kind of a
loved
political
it.
thriller. I liked what they did. I liked seeing Coruscant. I liked seeing like a guy who is giving up what he's believed in before to try to work for the greater good. And then it's so surreal because it's basically it's a parody of life where you have this government who's telling you how much they're giving you all these great things and telling you how much they love you, and then realistically in the end they're using you for what they want to use you for, and they really don't give a shit about you, type thing. And it was a cool parody to like what almost a lot of things in life are really like right now. You know, like when somebody tells you from the government, hey, we love you and this and this and this, there's an agenda behind that.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of times,
He-
not saying always, there's an
He
agenda
was in a
behind that.
regime change, and that I think a regime change is a totally different outlook on this situation, because I don't know what his devotion was to, what was the surviving bits of the empire. You have the two of these people that both worked on Moff Gideon's ship, and all of the Imperial people that were held captive after the explosion of the Death Star 2 and the Emperor died. You had a whole different mindset that happened, and the New Republic was trying to grow, and you have to have some sort of government put in place after that one dissolves, because it doesn't just dissolve, it just falls apart. And so what's truly important is, where do you go from there? And they're taking these Imperial captives and they're turning them into numbers, letters and numbers, and they're depriving them of everything. And so, a little bit to Greg's point, to where like they care about you, but they don't care about you. What do with people that fast? There is no great situation that you can go from the Empire and Rebellion War to the New Republic.
Well, it's almost like with the clone troopers. It's kind of
Exactly.
like along the same vein.
You take, I keep wanting to say regime changes, but I guess that may be the best way to describe it. But you keep taking massive changes that happen in the events of time, and you got to figure out what to do with it. So in this episode, when it split from the Mandalorian story to the Dr. Pershing story, I feel like, clearly they're trying to help root out the next, not bad villain or not bad person, not anything. They're trying to root out the next direction that they're going to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have Dr. Pershing, I can't remember the other girl's name. Was it Callie? Callia?
I can't remember. It's like I just remember her face. That was about it.
Yeah, and I know that I remember her from earlier episodes of
Mhm.
Mandalorian. But what you get out of this is you definitely get that Andor feeling, and you get it mainly because he's sitting behind a desk. He's doing a mundane job.
When you get the Senate scene too, that helped.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
And,
Sorry, go ahead.
but it's very important to recognize the fact that what they're trying to do is figure out what to do with all these people, because you have an abundance amount of people that worked for the Empire or the Imperial Senate or whatever you want to call it that did like stupid shit. Like, I mean, like, how do you go from, the best way I can relate it is, how do you go from being Nazi fascist Germany to New Germany?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, you're right.
Like how do you transition that? Because that's what the New Republic was trying to do. They were trying to basically say like shit shouldn't be like this, and we need to convert. Dr. Pershing was caught in the middle because he was doing something that he thought was very good for the evolution of people and species and whatever, but then he was doing it for the bad guys, But bad is only a point of view. Bad is only like where you're at, and so
what side of history are you like?
Well, and that's what I was going to say too. Is like you're right. Like he's now it's like a regime change, but it's not really. It's just a regime change on the face of things, correct? Because the Emperor and Snoke and Sith are still behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Emperor's presumed dead at this point.
It's like perception,
but we know he's still behind everything. Yeah. So I mean, it's weird. It's a different. It's like I said. It's government smiling in your face and then stabbing you in the back.
I'm led to believe that what the whole Pershing story is trying to do is tell you that the idea of like the whole cloning technology is out there, and that for some reason he needs to be silenced, and we're going to figure out why he needs to be silenced. But what's more important, I think, that like what are the underlying bodies at work here? Like what is happening? What sort of like anti-rebellion is happening now with the chick and everything else? Because like we know that in the sequel trilogy, like tons of Star Destroyers showed up, tons of this showed up, like all these things showed up. I hate the idea of getting to that point, like forcing us to that end point. But at the same time, I'm interested to know the story and why that would even matter.
Right.
And how the Mandalorian is like a part of that. And so if the key really is Grogu, then like let's see where it goes. I think that, well, first off, I don't know what's going to happen to Dr. Pershing at the end of this. Yeah, he was dead? He was put into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
We don't know. That's a good point. Like it's. I guess for me, I need to find out why this the girl that was with him turned on him. We didn't get that in this episode. So beyond that, all we can think of is she's insanely loyal to this new regime.
Or definitely trying to act like it.
Yeah. So beyond that, I don't know why she's done the things she's done. So I don't think this is the last episode we see with this doctor. I think that we get a full conclusion with him. And I think, I don't know where it's going to go, because once again, we know how the story ends. At least this saga ends. I don't know. I just enjoyed this
bring
episode.
Moff Gideon back out. I think that's their goal, is to bring.
And that was the whole Moff Gideon name drop.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Well, yeah. That's what they had in common. And I think that maybe she knows more than he knew. And even though he was the scientist working on the most important shit, she was more in charge of like how the important shit mattered.
Right.
So why that was even a thing. She gained his trust by going to look at the tallest place on Coruscant. Looks like a little bit of thing that just comes out of the ground. I know they're up in the air, thousands and whatever feet in the air, but like they're looking at the peak of Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
And like
they said that was the only place that was natural that you could see in the whole world, right? Yeah, whole planet. That's crazy. Who knows? There might be something like that out there, and we may see something like that one day. Who effing knows? We won't on our lifetime, but
no. I dug the new protocol droids. I thought it was like finally past time to actually see like the next rendition of protocol droids. I thought
on the train, you mean?
Yeah, well, everywhere. Yeah. I thought they were walking like throughout the whole entire episode. They brought up Bendu Day. Like, you finally watch Rebels, you know who Bendu is. Bendu Day is an interesting concept of like actually having
you know what? I didn't even connect those dots. Yeah, I didn't even connect those dots, but now you said that, well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
And the whole like scene at the very end, we circle full back to back to the Bo-Katan and Mandalorian thing being accepted back into the cult, because that's what it is. The fact that Bo-Katan, I know why she's there. She's there to play the story of getting more people to follow her to her cause.
Yeah, I think she's going to be the leader of Mandalore by the end of the story.
But that whole like everyone coming up and touching her, it's like, this is the way, this is the way. Like everyone's shaking hands and they're just like, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way.
It would have been funny if they had guys like grabbing her booby armor and stuff. I'm just saying, like walking up to her and be like, hey, like that would have been funnier.
This is not the way. No, not the way.
This is not the way. Yes.
No.
Sarah gave me that look when I said that. I was like, oh. Yeah, no, it was fine. But yeah, I mean, are we halfway through this season now?
Oh no, this was just the third episode.
I thought it was third or fourth, but how many episodes are there? Only 8
probably
or 10, right?
I think typically 8 to 10 is what they put out.
So we're close to halfway.
I think it's 10 for this one.
I'm just glad that we finally have some closure with this damn redemption story. Like I said, I just do not want this to be brought on the whole series like Can Barry Get Faster. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I like the armor and everything. I mean, I love that character, but I'm like, I'm done. I'm like,
take your mask off.
He don't need to prove shit to her anymore, okay? He just don't need to prove shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, Lord of mercy.
Yep.
Y'all got anything else for this show?
No. Nope.
Because if not, then we are done.
Well said.
That's how we spell it in North Carolina education in the South. That's right.
Done.
No,
we graduated from the same high school, so. Which, okay, I don't know if this ever happens to y'all. This is just a sidetrack, but I don't know if this ever happens to y'all. But you ever meet somebody somewhere and they recognize you, but you don't recognize them, and you feel really bad about it? That happened to me the other day. Apparently, I met somebody that we went to high school with, Ross, and he was like, "Yeah," he was like, "Greg, what's up, man?" Like talking to me. I had no idea who this guy was. Absolutely no idea who this guy was, and I tried to play it off the whole time like I did. No idea who he was.
Oh, don't. No, yeah. I think there's no time better than for a second impression. Like what? Like, show me again who you think you should be.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's conceited. I'm just screwing around.
I mean, it's not necessarily wrong, but all right. Well, check it out. Got nothing else? Let's go ahead and log out. Get out of here. Ross, where they find you at?
Nowhere. I'm probably going to spend time watching our shows next week. I might actually get into that Elvis show.
You guys, I want to watch that Elvis show too. A show I would recommend for y'all that I'm about to start that I've heard a bunch of people say is amazing is Outlast on Netflix.
I have heard of it.
It's like Survivor, but a little more hardcore.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge reality show fan, but like apparently the stuff that's done in this show is like you want to really hurt somebody. Like you like if this happened to me, I would probably hurt you or kill you. It's just that I can't do this on this TV show, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to check that out. Yeah, there's cameras everywhere. I'm gonna check Outlast out.
It's like Naked and Afraid. I'm like, I'm not going to be naked. I can find clothes. I got this figured out. Like,
I'm afraid
we've
all the time.
evolved.
Exactly. I'm afraid all the time. Only naked half the time. So,
you gonna watch Willow?
No, nobody's gonna watch Willow.
I know, it's like I tried to be a little upset about that, but I just couldn't muster it. I really couldn't. I was like,
it's not officially canceled, right?
No, it's definitely officially canceled.
No, it's not.
Okay, explain to me how. Unless they're going to get picked up by somebody else.
It's not officially canceled because it wasn't officially put out. They've said that it was canceled through the things that they said. They didn't actually officially cancel it.
Okay, I got you.
Go on and read about it. It's interesting.
Semantics.
You're right.
Semantics.
You are 100% right. I'm not robbing you of that word whatsoever. But what I'm interested in is whether or not they actually do it. But
I think they will. I don't think that they got the return.
I think they should.
They brought it back because
I think they should.
Let's put it this way: if they come out with if they come out with the second season, I highly doubt, unless one of y'all really wants to cover it, we're going to be covering on this show. Like it just wasn't worth the watch. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get out of here, folks. You can find me, or Sarah, where can they find you at? Sorry,
you can find me on the Twitter. You know the handle.
There you go.
The twit.
And you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. Check out at GCS Podcast One's the show handle. I try to keep up with some of that stuff, but not necessarily check it all the time. We're here live every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Try to drop the audio as soon as possible. It's going to make it a lot easier now that we don't have a Sunday show coming out when I drop the audio on Saturday. So it'll be a whole lot more fun like that. But yeah, check it on any podcatcher of your choice. Give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell your friends. Come in the chat room. We'll answer your questions. We'll post your comments. We like to have interactive fun with the fans on here. And, a lot of the guys from here are from C3 Panthers podcast, which is fun time anyway. If you're a Panthers fan, you're automatically cool in my book. So, but I guess until next week, everybody, there's really nothing else left to say, but keep pounding, right?